anthem?
Nope, did not. And the king of Russia treason, the Obama father.
Well, we'll always be there for you with the best live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio.
The way it should be.
Our saint of the day is Saint Januarius. Little is known about the life of Januarius, but he's believed to have been martyred in the Emperor Diocletian's persecution of 305. Legend has it, Januarius and his companions were thrown to the bears in the amphitheater of Pozzoli, but the animals failed to attack them. They were then beheaded, and Januarius's blood ultimately brought to Naples. A dark mass that half fills a hermetically sealed 4-inch glass container and is preserved in a double reliquary in the Naples Cathedral as the blood of Saint Januarius liquefies 18 times during the year. Various experiments have been applied, but the phenomenon eludes natural explanation, says the Catholic Encyclopedia. We remember Saint Januarius today. Astronomers believe they've discovered another so-called quasi-moon of Earth, though it's likely been circling around undetected in near space for decades. Dubbed 2025 PN7, this mini-moon is actually an asteroid which, unlike our own full-fledged moon, orbits the Sun alongside the Earth. The discovery of 2025 PN7 was described in a new study published in the journal Research Notes of the American Astronomical Society on September 2nd. Now, according to the report, 2025 PN7 is just 62 feet wide and bright enough to spot only through a high-quality telescope. French journalist Adrien Coffinet was the first to introduce to the world 2025 PN7 on August 30th per Live Science for the Minor Planet mailing list, where amateur astronomers gather online to share and collect the latest data. You're listening to Crusade Channel News. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
I need something to listen to challenge my faith and tickle my not-so-nice funny bone.
Well, you won't hear anything about Mondays coming or cheeseburgers in paradise, but you will hear the most brutally honest Catholic-inspired commentary on Parrot Talk. Weekdays.
Oh, this boats, beaches, bars, and ballads fan sees what you did there.
Weekdays at 2 Central on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio.
The way it should be.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
The Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look, the plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Oh, well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem, I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
It's what they use to make Brondo.
Yeah, but why did they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
So Trump's now giving press conferences at 35,000 feet like Pope Francis. And people are writing it down like it's an executive order. Then we have, folks, talk about a reveal. Wait till you hear Charlie Kirk in his own words in a video that's just been kind of leaked. I'm not sure exactly what to make of it, but I'll play it for you. It's a free phone Friday. We are here live, saving talk radio for the next generation, and this one, the Mike Church Show here is on, asking the question of the day.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, and remember, Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
It's free phone.
It is.
It's free phone.
Yes, it is a free phone Friday. Day you are charged with the unenviable as yet to have been completed task of telling us what it is we shall talk about on the program. No one's ever actually taken the task seriously and done it. But I have confidence that today is the day. Today is the day we break through, I'm telling you. 844. Maggie's laughing. She doesn't believe it. 844-527-8723. 844-5-Crusade. Email address same as it ever has been. Often given out so very rarely properly used. Maybe today is the day. I am KingDude at protonmail.com. I am KingDude at protonmail.com. And the Crusader Stadium chat room is open, as it is every day, for your commentary at crusadechannel.com/chat. So, the left-hard world, it's actually kind of fun to see this. I think I'm actually enjoying this. The left-hard world is, I don't want to say it's losing it because it's so cliched.
They're imploding.
Well, they had already been imploding. That's a good one, though, imploding. I think that they've actually hit the self-destruct sequence. There's an episode of Star Trek. It's one of my favorites. The original Star Trek. There's an episode of Star Trek called, you know what? I don't know the name of the show. Somebody will know it. Somebody will know. I'll tell you what happens. In the episode of Star Trek, the Enterprise is getting ready to be gobbled up, swallowed whole, and then digested by this ginormous alien that's kind of intercepted them in the middle of space. And Kirk's looking around. Spock, there has to be a way. What can we do? Sorry, Captain, there is no logical solution to the problem. And so they go around and nobody has a solution. And then Kirk says, well, you can take my ship, mister, but we are filled with this substance called corbomite. But just this is what people fell in love with Star Trek, because it's just genius writing, just brilliant. And the alien goes, "What is this corbomite of which you speak?" And Kirk says, "Well, the corbomite, if it is destabilized, which you will do, will begin a chain reaction that will destroy everything within 65 parsecs, or whatever the measurement was. And the alien says, is this true? In any event, the Enterprise fakes that they're going to hit the self-destruct sequence and detonate the Corbomite, and the alien dude takes the fake and takes the bait and bails. Yay, the day is saved. That's not what the Democrats are doing, because they're not going to save themselves, I don't believe. They are losing their minds, though, and I think that this is actually genuine. I don't think that this is like a big blown out of proportion head fake. I think that they are literally starting to contemplate that the end of their party is near, exactly as I have been predicting all year long, that the Democrat party is going to go the way of the Federalist Party in 1836. And that Charlie Kirk was the last straw. I saw people being interviewed yesterday. They were on Fox News, but they had been interviewed by some other media dude, whoever it was. And they're asking him, they're going, are you more or less likely to be a Democrat? They were asking Democrats, registered Democrats. And one dude goes on, the one that I watched, his whole interview, the guy's like, you know what? I don't like Trump. I don't like MAGA. I don't like MAGA people. But I can't. He goes, what is wrong with my party? What is wrong with these people? This is a very simple thing. A man's dead. Go out and say you're sorry, and then you're praying for his children and his wife, and shut up. Be decent. Just be decent human beings. He goes, but my party is incapable of doing it. They're incapable. He said, not only are they incapable of doing it, they're doing the exact opposite, which is just not, it's reprehensible, it's indefensible. And the guy goes, and I won't be a part of it. He said, I changed my party affiliation past weekend. I won't be a part of it. I think that this is something that is happening across the amber waves of politicking out there. And I don't think that the Democrats realize that this is real life. There are a lot of, look, the future, a majority of the future, this is why I say the Democrat Party is dead. A majority of the future, that's young people. That's Generation Zers and Xers and 18 to 35-year-olds are mourning their hero. They're mourning Charlie. They're mourning Turning Point USA that's not going to have Charlie anymore. They're mourning the fact that that Charlie's influence is gone. They're mourning the fact that they had a seat at the table. Their opinion mattered. And now they have a party telling them that they got what they deserved? I guess you don't know much about young people, do you? You ever heard of rebellion? and now the Democrats are like, and all of you young people are going to come back to us now. Now, buck up and start killing babies and becoming lesbians. And the young people, to their credit, they're not buying it. They are not buying it. And they are defiantly going like, not only are we not going to do it, but we're going to convince everyone else who isn't already with us to join us. That's the Corbomite maneuver. Charlie Kirk is literally the Corbomite maneuver. And I have to say, we have a soundbite that, if you read, here, I'll read it to you. This is what the guy said on X. Adam is his name. Maggie O'Connell discovered this morning. I remember watching this video of Charlie Kirk a few months ago. I found it odd. I noticed he was trying to pivot. I thought it was sly manipulation. I've now learned this was a major issue for Israel. Bill Ackman staged an intervention a week later. If you watch the video, and we'll play it for you, and audio and video. It's Charlie in a room full of young people who want to be ambassadors, basically. He's interviewing TPUSA potential ambassadors. Isn't that what he's doing, right? Okay. And he's asking them questions about, well, why do you want to be an ambassador? What do you think about this or what? And then he gets a question about Israel. And the response that he gives is the video that we have here. This is not AI. It's not doctored. It doesn't have a date on it, but I can tell you it's post July 11th. How do I know? Because I was there on July 11th at the Tampa Convention Center when Tucker spoke. And the subject of Tucker Carlson comes up. And what should now just be called the speech. And it is said, okay, well, how are the elders reacting to the speech? The elders are not reacting kindly to the speech. And there is a shockwave that comes after. You have the explosion, and people that are immediately there are affected by it. But then you have the shockwave, right? That goes out and reverberates across the amber waves of Zionism. Or the let me change that. Across the azure waves of Zionism. And it starts to hit people, and they start to think about it and talk about it, and then they tell someone else, and then they tell someone else, and then all of a sudden it becomes a thing, if you will. That thing is still out there metastasizing, and it's getting bigger. The problem for the neocons and the leftards is there is no elixir. There is no fire extinguisher that they can apply. They don't have the talent. Their talent has squandered their lives learning the ways of top-down command and control, socialism and communism, and just put your ism in here, and it's not working. Let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel for a minute here. There's like 10 people on earth that get what Brendan Carr actually did and what ABC and Sinclair and Zenobia, the two broadcasting companies, what they actually did. 10 people. Me, Sean Davis, and 9 others. Everyone else is looking at Trump told Brendan Carr to tell the FCC to start yanking licenses. He threatened them with that is not what happened. And I know that all of you, because you were listening 2 days ago, so you've already heard me say this, and I don't think any of you, as a matter of fact, you're smarter than you. Hey, boo-boo. Hey, Crusader, you're smarter than the average bear. You are smarter than the average bear because you know what's actually what Brendan Carr did and what the actual legal responsibility and ethical responsibility of the FCC and the stations it licenses. This is key. The stations that license, exactly what it is supposed to do. These people that are throwing these hissy fits over this is going to be the end here. You're going to ruin the day because we're going to get power back. They're telling us that they did it before, and then when they get power back, they're going to do it again. They're going to viciously cancel and viciously ruin the lives of people because they disagree with them. That is not what ABC did over Jimmy or over Kimmy Jimmel. Hi, Kimmy. That is not what ABC did. That is not what Sinclair did. Jimmy Kimmel is an indecent, amoral pig. He wasn't funny, and he said awful things about a dead man. And he didn't have to do it. He lied about a dead man, and he didn't have to do it. He abused. What has Mike Church always told you about ethics in broadcasting? He went on ABC and Sinclair television networks airwaves, and with impunity, he continued to lie and to slander. Yes, it was Charlie Kirk. He continued to lie and slander, and then when people went like, "That's not true," you cannot say that this Tyler James Robinson Creep was a flag-waving, red, white, and blue guzzling MAGA Trump Republican. Not true. Patently not true. As a matter of fact, it was even said during when the district attorney, Jeffrey Gray for Utah County, read the charges and said, well, this is what we know. So they're losing it, and they want to die on Hill Kimmy Jimmel. Dude, let them. Let them. We're going to have protests. You already do that. We're going to stage sit-ins. You already do that. We're going to have rallies. Go ahead and have a little rally for your sissy, untalented, not funny Jay Leno wannabe. Go ahead, do it. At the end of the day, what they're really mad about is that they think they got a dose of their medicine. But this is key. This is what you need to know. They did not get a dose of their medicine because their medicine is illicit, immoral, unethical, and illegal. What they actually got was an actual dose of what actually decent people, morally culpable, and ethically sensitive people do. And they don't want anything to do. They're telling you they don't want anything to do with it. This is so rich and so delicious, folks. It is literally watching evil eat itself. You're literally watching the demons devour one another. Let them keep doing it. Let them keep doing it. You know, you, at some point in time, you just have to kind of rely on the vast majority of the American people out there and your fellow citizens, wherever you live, are going to see through this, and they're not going to buy that this was the gravest injustice, and they're coming for you next, America. Sean Davis at The Federalist tells a great story about you want to talk about censorship? Let's talk about what Obama and what Biden actually did to the actual business, the actual nonprofit journalistic entity known as The Federalist. You want to know what they actually did and how they use regulators to try to put us out of business? Let's talk about that. I want to go back to, I want to hop into KingDude's Wayback Machine. How many of you remember the name Nicholas Sandmann? Oh, pick me, pick me. Don't ever forget. What was it, 2018? Pro-life march in Washington. Kid was from Covington, Kentucky school, Catholic school, Brebeuf. Or not Brebeuf, but one of those schools there. Or it's in Indianapolis. I think it was Indianapolis. A kid goes to the pro-life march on a bus, and after... 2019. It was 2019. After the march, he is... He's walking across the mall where the Lincoln Memorial is, and a lunatic named Nathan Phillips accosts him because he has a MAGA hat on, gets in his face, starts playing his stupid Indian drum, and yelling at him. The leftards tried to cancel that kid. All right, talk about it when we come back.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Silk Feather. Ma'am, what would you like to drink?
Oh, I'll take the Dom Perignon, of course.
Ah, the lady has taste. And you, sir? I'll just take the Diet Coke. Oh, dear. You know, what I miss about the good old days before social media and AI ruined everything?
Let me guess. No fat people outside of the circus, and Ozempic was the name of a demon in C.S. Lewis story, right?
Well, yeah. But besides that, classic radio shows with actors and actual stories.
Well, lucky for the human race, the Crusade Channel is rolling over 900 episodes of a show called Suspense.
Tweak your mystery-solving muscles over lunch and catch episodes of Suspense, weekdays noon till 2 on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and classic radio the way it should be.
I like my version of suspense. Hey!
Doesn't work without me.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Channel News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, September 19th, 2025. This report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that's won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow was up again 0.27% and the S&P 0.48%. NASDAQ climbed 0.94%. Today on National Day Calendar, it is National POWMIA Recognition Day. It's always the third Friday in September that we honor National POWMIA Recognition Day. Each year since 1989, a presidential proclamation brings the nation together to remember and honor the members of the armed forces who remain missing in action or are prisoners of war. We are responsible for bringing our patriots home and for caring for our military families awaiting word of their loved ones. Today is Talk Like a Pirate Day, our Love Your School Lunch Day, and it's Butterscotch Pudding Day, which actually sounds really good right now. Our quote of the day: "He alone loves the Creator perfectly, who manifests a pure love for his neighbor." Saint Bede the Venerable. And our saint of the day, Saint Januarius. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
Hey, Lee. You know, we've known each other for a bit now. I just wonder, what do you really love to do?
I love posting civilization-saving threads on X.com, but I get so tired of outrage porn scrolling my medulla has gone oblong blanca.
Well, I know just the thing. Pour an iced cappuccino and holy roast coffee. Put your earbuds in and catch 2 hours of suspense. The greatest of all mystery, horror, and whodunit classic radio serials.
Perfect. While you were talking, I completely forgot who Jack Posobiec was.
Catch all 900-plus episodes of Suspense every weekday from noon to 2 p.m. East on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com. Live talk and classic radio,
The way it should be.
If soy boys pretending to be girls want to compete against girls, the Mike Church Show suggests making contact sports of breastfeeding and C-sections.
Drive 1,000,000 miles to be with you tonight. So if you feel
Everybody have fun tonight.
turn up your radio.
Everybody, Shrek. Everybody.
The ones we use are strong. They make reality. But now the music's on. Oh, baby, dance with me. Yeah.
The fastest 3 hours in all of radio, single-handedly keeping live talk radio broadcasting alive for this generation and the next. Join us. The Mike Church Show is on the Crusade Channel. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at mypillow.com/KingDude. 3 great sales going on. Got a great sale going on My Pillows, great sale going on My Towels, limited supply, and a great sale going on My Sheets. They never put these on sale because they're so popular, but I really love the My Slippers too. Try them out. Check them out today. mypillow.com/KingDude. That will let Mike Lindell and the gang know that I sent you. And you will be supporting, you'll be getting the best night's sleep in the whole wide world because you got mypillow.com/KingDude. True story. You can make that even better with the Percali sheets and the Giza Cotton brand, My Pillow and King and Queen. That's on sale for $29.98. All that, free shipping for orders over $75 is all part of the deal. Spend $100 and Mike Lindell will give you $100 worth of digital goodies for free. Don't cost nothing. So shop with them today. Don't forget the My Slippers at mypillow.com/KingDude. And thank you very much. There is a markedly interesting little feud going on X, on Twitter today, but it's as a result of an article posted on X. American history's stark warning against tolerating political violence by forest neighbors. Interestingly enough, at thefederalist.com. In the run-up to the Civil War, the beating of a U.S. senator nearly to death was celebrated across the South. Well, first of all, Mr. Neighbors, he wasn't beaten to death. He was just beaten. Second of all, you didn't really cover the real reason why Sumner was beaten. And third of all, this guy goes on the Federalist and accuses the entirety of the Old South of being oligarchical. And the oligarchical South, well, across the Mason-Dixon, the holy and sanctified little our Republican angels of the North. So I wrote Brian McClanahan, my old buddy and the co-author of our version of Is Davis a Traitor? Was there a political right to secession previous to the War of 1861 by Albert Tyler Bledsoe, best book ever written on the subject of secession and the true de jure meaning of the U.S. Constitution. We have it in the Founders Trading Post store. Get you a copy or 10 today. Shop.mikechurch.com. I asked McClanahan, I said, hey, man, did you see this? Dude accusing the South of being oligarchical. And Brian writes back and he goes, no, but I really don't have to. Apparently, who he knows the author. I really don't have to. It was this and that and the other. Well, then the author writes back, Neighbors writes back, and then he tags me in it. So now I've gone into battle against a Yankee revisionist, and I have poked the revisionist bear. Now, he's being a good sport about it, so I'm not knocking Neighbors, and I'm perfectly willing to have a debate, dialogue, conversation with him about this. But McClanahan jumps in on it, and then he says, well, Brian McClanahan accused me of being this and that and the other, and McClanahan then responds. And then the guy comes back and says something about the South being filled with oligarchs again. And there was the oligarchical South. And I'm like, and I'm just thinking to myself, dude, you're not a very good historian. No wonder you graduated from Oregon State. You're a duck. So I told him, I said, people forget the great state of Virginia in 1776 was the epicenter of the American Revolution. Everyone wants to give credit to John Adams and John Hancock and the Boston Tea Party and all that. It was all New England's doing and all that. Not true. It would have gone nowhere were it not for the Virginians and the Old Dominion. Ladies and gentlemen, that's just a fact. No, I don't want to... we're heading to Utah for daughter number one's wedding on Monday, and Tuesday will be a settling in day. And we'll do a couple of live shows from there, so you won't be completely deprived of the live version of the Mike Church Show. We have great best ofs, though. And I'm not going to tell you what they are, but don't just skip the show because it's not live. As a matter of fact, shows that are so important, they'll be in museums someday. You'll be able to go to a museum and hit the listen button and go, on this date, it's Mike Church. But getting back to the bore you to tears with historical, insignificant crap that none of you want to hear, details. Virginia was the center of everything. It just was. And yet, at the time, just to kind of put you in the right frame of mind, the Old Dominion, Virginia, in 1776 and all the way up until 1793, I think, comprised the state of Virginia as you see it on a map, state of West Virginia, as you see it on a map, state of Tennessee, as you see it on a map, and the state of Kentucky. and a little part of the state of Ohio. That was the Old Dominion. So it wasn't just the Tidewater area in Richmond, Virginia. It was the Atlantic Ocean, pretty much all the way to the Mississippi, and that entire band across the middle of the continent was Virginia. So this guy's basically saying, I asked him the question, I'm like, dude, are you saying that the Virginia dynasty that was responsible for the Revolution were oligarchs? Now, I asked him the question, I said, are you saying that Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Tyler, here's your 5 Virginia presidents, Patrick Henry, John Taylor Caroline, Edmund Randolph, and then John Randolph of Roanoke, who may have been the most brilliant Southerner that ever lived. Are you saying John Randolph of Roanoke was an oligarch? He is, what's the dude's name in Ukraine? Mikolai Zaloyamich, or whatever the hell his name is. You're saying that the great gentry of the South and of Virginia were oligarchs? In any event, it was fun to, if you're on X.com, you might join in and join the conversation. I see that a couple of you have. And now this is the kind of dialogue I actually don't mind having. This is an actual thing that you can debate. And there is I think, a historically correct, so a right way to look at it, and a historically incorrect, wrong way to look at it. But we're looking at historical facts here. Mr. Neighbors may say, well, you're wrong. I have this fact, and this says that you're wrong and that I'm right. And you have a little discussion or a dialogue about that. That's fine. That's what we actually should be doing that. That's fine. I have no problem with it or Mr. Neighbors whatsoever. None. As a matter of fact, I'm glad I actually read the whole piece, and maybe I'll invite him on and we'll have a debate. But this is what we ought to be doing. This is a good example of let's just have a little exchange here. This is not me saying that I'm going to find out who you are, and then after I get you fired, I'm going after your children, which is what the leftards do. Now, let me go back to cancel culture. So you guys are all now down with cancel culture after you spent all these years saying it was the worst thing that ever happened. There is a difference between the reasons you are being canceled and what you tried to do to us, sir. Your cancel culture was based on malice. It was not based on decency, morality. How about just a little bit of politeness? The Democrat Party has not, you know, there's a great irony to this. You know, the only member of the Democrat Party that I've seen that's even come close to being civil and what they've said about Charlie is Bernie Sanders. Believe it or not. When I listened to Bernie Sanders, and I almost wanted to say, thank you, Senator Socialist. At least, Senator Socialist, you like that, huh? I like it too. Every single one of them says something, they try to say with something that's fake, which winds up being like, don't patronize him. Don't say it because you think you need to say it. My point is, they're not capable of this kind of empathy, folks. These people shouldn't be running dog shows. The only thing they should be running are prisons because they're in them. Every single one of them will give you some little bit of a eulogy for Charlie and then say that, well, yeah, he basically got what he deserved. And yeah, there are going to be more of you that are going to be killed for what you think because you want to stop us from ripping children out of their mother's wombs and killing them and cutting the testicles off of 15-year-old boys and lopping the breast off of 14-year-old girls. Yes, we are such villains in this play. Now, let me go back to my story about Nathan Phillips. Nathan Phillips got up in the face of 16-year-old Nicholas Sandman. Sandman was the Covington High School, right? Covington, Kentucky, or Indiana. I think it's right there on the border. I think it's actually in Indiana. Because Covington is a city, a little hamlet in Kentucky, and a lot of you live near there, and you go to where you're going to, you were going to the church there run by Father Shannon and Father Sean. That's not the same city. In any event, Nicholas Sandmann is on a bus trip with his high school. They've gone to the pro-life march. He's minding his own business. He's walking across the little Lincoln Memorial quad there, whatever you want to, mezzanine. And out of nowhere, this Nathan Phillips creep comes up with his stupid Indian drum, sees the MAGA hat, cuts Nicholas off, and then starts yelling at him. You've all seen the video. I'm not breaking any news. This was in January of 2019. And remember, he's sitting there playing the drum going, and what is Nicholas Sandmann's response? Anybody remember? Nick Sandmann did, if you're watching this on video, I'm going to show you what Nick Sandmann did.
That's it. That's the big one.
I'm not making it up, and this is not an act. I'm not trying to do anything to say that, well, you're exaggerating. No, I'm not exaggerating. This is what he did. Maybe he blinked a few less or more times than I just did. And then that's it. And he walked away with Nathan Phillips chasing him, going, whatever he was doing. 16-year-old boy. Do you remember what happened to Nicholas Sandmann? The video got out that he had accosted a Native American at the pro-life march with his MAGA hat on. He was a Trump acolyte. This little bastard. Remember the guy that went on CNN and said he has a punchable face? Dude, you are a 30-some-odd-year-old faggot of a man. And you want to beat up a 16-year-old kid? I bet that, you know what? I bet the kid could take you. The Washington Post ran a story saying that Sandmann was a hick, hayseed, racist, xenophobe, and that his school was this and that and the other. And then they went and found out who his parents were. And then they went and camped out in front of them. Remember, they had to close the school down. The school was closed for 2 days because they got death threats. Because Nicholas Sandmann looked at the fake Native American agitator, who, by the way, is a professional agitator, and did this. Well, at the end of the day, do you remember who represented Nicholas Sandmann in the slander and libel and defamation of character lawsuits? Lynn Wood. Remember? Lynn Wood, he was with, what was our girl, released the Kraken, the attorney, who Sidney Powell. Sidney Powell, Lynn Wood. Lynn Wood was one of those, I'm going to tell you something, Brian Kemp, we're going to find out what you did to fix and rig this election. Lynn Wood got $250 million settlement for Nick Sandmann, almost bankrupted CNN, led to the firing. I can't remember how many people at the Washington Post and might have been the New York Times, a couple of other media entities, because I said $250 million. So $275 million. They tried to cancel a 16-year-old kid. And you want me and us, we're supposed to shed tears and fear for the future of the Republic? Because someone who didn't have the common decency to say a good word or just not say anything about a man that was murdered, a Christian man that was murdered, basically in the line of duty, we're not going to shut up. And you know what? Kimmel deserved it. And if I was hiring, if I was the head of a TV network and I was hiring, no way I'm ever giving you my airwaves, Jacko. No way. As I told you 2 days ago, or 3 days ago when when he first started doing it, what did I tell you? You are the steward of that television station's FCC license. When you're on air, you're the steward of the airways. Your responsibility falls to you. And what did he do with it? And it's an awesome opportunity. It's an awesome power, but it's an awesome opportunity. It's also an awesome responsibility. my message to young people, and no one will listen to me, but maybe now some people will, is this is the ethics in broadcasting I have been talking about. You are responsible. You are responsible. I am responsible for what goes through that joker right there. She is responsible when she plays you a digital media file, and if we know there's something on there that may not be good for your children or maybe even for you, we have a duty to tell you, and we do. Look, there's a curse word in this. I didn't feel like bleeping it out. I wanted people to hear it in its context. Come back in 2 minutes. It should be just as easy for me to just roll the tape and not say a word for clickbait. Because I could get you mad. You would go tell other people and go, oh, yeah, they did this and that and the other. We're responsible. We're ethical. These people aren't familiar with the term. What Brendan Carr has set in motion is what I have been asking for. And I think ultimately that the FCC, under the guidance of Trump here, may actually be doing things that can finally start restoring credibility in media. I don't want you, KY Postman. I don't want you, Ave Maria 476. I don't want you, I'm just picking names here because I'm just looking at the chat room. I don't want you, Louise or Dahlberger or S. Parker 6. I don't want you to live your life and your children to say that the left-tard liberal media is filled with communists who want to kill you, is filled with demon worshipers who genuinely want your children in hell, who want your boys to turn into girls and your girls to turn into boys, and what I would much rather, I really would, it not be an issue, because they kind of just, there are a few oddball screwballs, and that's fine. We like color. We have an opinion where it goes that, again, is grounded in reality and some sense of ethics and morals is fine. We're all a fan of it. I don't want you to hate the media. I don't want you to think that they're in the tank for one side or the other. Lord. I want the exact opposite. But the only way that's ever going to happen, again, is if ethics are restored. And this FCC is doing exactly that. It's saying that do not hide behind the first. And this is the other thing. I had my First Amendment right. The First Amendment doesn't say a damn thing about you saying things that are going to get people killed. You go out there, Kimmel, little Kimmy Jimmel. You go out there, Kimmy, and you lie about someone like Charlie Kirk, and that means you're lying about the entirety of TPUSA. You're lying about all those young people that are out there who are going to come in contact with other young people. They're going to hear you. They're going to hear the lie. They're going to hear your call basically to get violent and to mimic Tyler James Robinson and others. That's on you now. It's not acceptable. ABC was, Disney was forced into this. They didn't volunteer to do this. It was going to happen. The people that are running Sinclair television stations, and believe me, these are not angels. The Sinclair TV network, this is the same network, by the way, where we get that famous montage, and this is not good for our democracy. This is a threat to, remember, you play all the news anchors? Those were all Sinclair television stations. And this is a threat to our democracy. This is a threat to our democracy. This is a threat to our democracy. That was Sinclair. So believe me, I'm not canonizing Sinclair. They did what was necessary because Brendan Carr was telling them, you got a broadcast license, bro. You better read that paperwork again. So it's the start of something. I want to read you from Sir Charles Coulombe today at great length, and I can't wait to see Charles at the St. Benedict Center. How many of you are going to the St. Benedict Center Conference, October 9th, 10th, and 11th, or 9th and 10th, coming up, and Richmond, New Hampshire? I think this is a great year for everyone to try and make it. We got a lot going on. There's lots to talk about. It's going to be a great, great conference. Charles will be there. I'll be there. Just a great time to get together in person. So I encourage you, go to Catholicism.org and go sign up today, and I'll see you there. Sir Charles has a wonderful piece at 1 Peter 5, The American Civil Wars. In memoriam, Charlie Kirk. And of course, he writes in only the style that Charles Coulomb could. This past week has been filled with horrible news in America. On August 22nd, 2025, in Charlotte, North Carolina, 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska stabbed to death on the public transit. It was widely noticed that media outrage in response to a black-on-white killing was muted as opposed to the opposite. Nor did Charlotte experience white, mostly peaceful protesters looting and burning, which in itself was a relief. Then on the 27th of August, 2025, a mass shooting occurred at the Church of the Annunciation in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The attack took place during a scheduled school-wide mass attended by the students and faculty at Annunciation Catholic School. It was conducted by a transgender alumnus of the institution. The unholy trinity of mayhem concluded on September the 10th with the murder of Charlie Kirk on stage by a young radical who had a transgender partner. In the few days since media, both social and antique, has exploded with opinions. Now, to be honest, apart from his name and vague awareness that he was a young pro-Trump activist, I really did not know much about him at his untimely death. In the torrent of opinion that followed, I learned a lot more. It's coming up. We'll be right back. I'll continue with Sir Charles.
Ma'am, what would you like to drink?
Oh, I'll take the Dom Perignon, of course.
Ah, the lady has taste. And you, sir? I'll just take the Diet Coke. Oh, dear. You know, what I miss about the good old days before social media and AI ruined everything?
Let me guess. No fat people outside of the circus, and Ozempic was the name of a demon in C.S. Lewis story, right?
Well, yeah. But besides that, classic radio shows with actors and actual stories.
Well, lucky for the human race, the Crusade Channel is rolling over 900 episodes of a show called Suspense.
Tweak your mystery-solving muscles over lunch and catch episodes of Suspense, weekdays noon till 2 on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and classic radio the way it should be.
I like my version of suspense. Hey!
Doesn't work without me.
Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com. And so, the responsibility of every coffee cup is to ensure the authenticity, the freshness, and... Now, who in the name of Pete Hexes could this be?
Good afternoon, dear.
Dear, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be home with the little coffee cups.
I was home with little Arabica, Columbia, and baby Dark Roasta, and then the phone rang. It was Director Trump.
What did he want?
Well, seems he was told that when we were at Coffee Cup Academy together,
It's the WWE and the UFC for live talk radio Thursday Night Throwdown, hosted by you. Win a seat at the table, win the throwdown, and then you pick next week's topic.
Now that's real live talk radio exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Radio, the way it should be.
Hey, it's Mike Church with another adventure in Stuff You Really Don't Need to Know. The difference between an antidote and an anecdote. One is a cure for something that's poisoned you, like a corona hoax vaccination, and the other is a short accounting of facts, something the aforementioned vaccine has almost none of. Here's another anecdote for you. The flag of the Sacred Heart of Jesus is also known as the Carillon de Sacre-Coeur, or the original flag of Quebec. And did you know that our Founders Trading Post is the exclusive maker and distributor of this one-of-a-kind, full-size, beautiful flag right here in America. Yep. Order a Sacred Heart flag right now and take $5 off and get a matching Sacred Heart flag bumper sticker for free. Don't cost nothing. Hurry, spring is coming and supplies are limited. To order, go to mikechurch.com/flag or call us 844-527-8723. The Crusade Channel and the Slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Sister Maria Filomena with your Saint of the Day. September 19th, St. Januarius and companions who were martyred in the year 304. At the opening of Diocletian's persecution, St. Januarius was the Bishop of Benevento. He was arrested along with his deacon and lector after he had visited 4 friends in prison earlier to bring them all the consolations of the faith and give them the strength necessary for their trial. The following day, they were all exposed in the amphitheater, but the beasts, forgetting their natural ferocity, crouched at the feet of Januarius. The governor attributed this to magical arts and condemned the martyrs of the Christ to be beheaded, but as he was pronouncing the sentence, he was suddenly struck blind. However, at the prayer of Januarius, he soon recovered his sight, after which miracle 5,000 men embraced the faith. The ungrateful judge, however, was in no way affected by the benefit conferred upon him, and on the contrary, he was enraged by so many conversions, and fearing the emperor's edicts, he ordered the holy bishop and his companions to be beheaded. His relics were moved from place to place, but eventually they were enshrined in the Cathedral of St. Januarius in Naples. There are 2 vials of his blood there, which liquefy 18 times every year on 3 occasions. September 19th is also the commemoration of Our Lady of La Salette. She appeared on September 19th in 1846 to 2 shepherd children in France with a message of warning and repentance, asking for prayers and sacrifices, and specifically warned about the punishments for blasphemy, the desecration of Sundays, and the disregard for Jesus' name. Our Lady of La Salette, St. Januarius, and companions, pray for us. Thank you for joining us for this brief summary of the lives of today's saints. Tomorrow's saint is Saint Eustace and his family. To access all of our Saint of the Day recordings as podcasts, head to crusadechannel.com/saints. You can learn more about our sisters in the building of our convent by visiting stphilomenaconvent.org. I'm Sister Maria Filomena, and until next time, God bless and Mary keep you.
Hal, open the pod bay doors.
I'm sorry, I can't do that, KingDude.
Hal, why can't you open the pod bay doors?
Because, KingDude, MAGA Earth isn't ready for you yet.
When will MAGA Earth be ready for me, Hal?
When 1.76 trillion scales have fallen from their eyes. Oh.
Yes, Hal.
And KingDude, they'll also need a wicked sense of humor.
Don't be stuck in the broadcasting world of 2001. Grab a Crusade size update and catch the Mike Church shows weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. East, exclusively on the Crusade Channel live talk and podcast radio for the 2025 listener, the way it should be.
Back in the 90s, there was this thing called the cigar boom, where everyone was buying and smoking handmade cigars. But here's the thing, the popular cigars then were the best made cigars, like Fuente, Joya de Monterrey, and Avo. Over the next 10 years, craftsmanship was replaced by gimmick and slick packaging, and that's when I decided to get in the business and launched El Rey Dude Corona cigars. 20 years later, I launched Mancipio Maria cigars, with that same principle in mind. Make a great handmade cigar, and that's exactly what we do in 4 sizes. I invite you to try a 4-pack sampler of my Mancipia Maria cigars and taste them for yourself in smooth, natural, or bold Maduro wrappers. And to sweeten the deal, I've discounted them 25% for a limited time. And as always, we include a personal personal humidifier with every order. To order, go to shop.mikechurch.com. Order $50 or more, and shipping is on me. Try my Mancipio Maria cigars today at shop.mikechurch.com.
It's not tape or a Post-it or a candy bar, but this new 3M
Is the freshest spin on true crime shows since dinosaurs were solving cold cases with fossil evidence. Yeah, it's that original, folks.
Mom's Murders and Mysteries. New episodes debut every Tuesday night, 6:30 East, 4 West, exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Live Talk Podcast Radio, the way it should be.
Hey guys, you got a minute?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
It's about my dad. He wants to have a sex change operation.
Whoa, I knew he was gay. I didn't think he was that gay.
No, Peter, he's not gay. He's a woman stuck in a man's body.
Yeah, gay.
No, it's totally different.
Sounds the same.
Well, it's not.
Okay, so he wants to be a woman so he can be a lesbian?
No, he'd date men.
Gay.
Yeah, gay.
Okay, this is not the help I came over here for.
Well, look, let's just all agree that he's odd, huh?
He has an appointment Friday with Dr. Hartman to have the procedure, and he wants me to go with him. I don't know if I can handle that.
Well, I'm sure your friend Peter would be happy to come along for moral support.
All right, but look, here's the deal. Anything he lops off, we get to bring home for Brian.
That's very green of you, Peter.
Why you had to hide away for so long? Where did we go wrong? Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why you had to hide away for so long. Where did we go wrong?
Put that down! Groot, don't eat that!
Hey, you with the pretty face. Welcome to the human race. A celebration. Mr. Blue Sky's up there waiting. And today is the day we've waited for. Oh, Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why you had to hide away for so long. Where did we go wrong?
Hey, see, one of the things I love about this, Maggie, every time we play this song on Fridays, the Crusader Stadium chat room lights up with happiness and joy. People are so happy to hear about blue skies. Then, of course, a lot of people think, as you and I think, as soon as we think of it, or as soon as we hear it, we see Zoe Saldana yelling at Groot. Groot, put that down! From the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, I could tell you the song about this, but just buy the ELO Greatest Hits album, and because I'm on an album kick now, and it's in the liner notes. There's a great story about this song that Jeff Lynne tells about kind of how it came about and how they kind of put it together and how they wrote it. Kind of like an episode of Album Autopsy, which when we come back from vacation, me and Moshe are going to knock out a half a dozen or so because we were so far behind. In any event, it's the Mike Church Show, the last live talk radio show literally standing now. And happy and glad to have all of you, welcoming all of you in, who are watching on X.com and on YouTube and on Rumble. Welcome to the party, pal. Welcome to the party, pal. You should join us. We need new members, new chatters, new discussers. New geniuses, easy to do, starts at $5 a month. CrusadeChannel.com/join. CrusadeChannel.com/join. Play digital media file. I'm going to come back to Charles Coulombe, but I'm going to set it up with digital media file number 1. Now, I read you last hour, the kid, the young man that posted it, who said he was in the room. He saw it, or he filmed it. And when he saw it a couple of months ago, he thought that Charlie was kind of grandstanding. And that he didn't think what he thinks of it today. So what he actually said was, I should actually read it because Maggie sent it to me. He said, just to make sure I quote it and get it correct. Huh, how refreshing is that? Media, checking my facts. I remember watching this video of Charlie Kirk a few months ago. I found it odd. I noticed he was trying to pivot. I thought it was sly manipulation. I've now learned this was a major issue for Israel. Bill Ackman staged an intervention a week later. Here is Charlie in his own words. We don't have a date on this, but I can tell you it's after July the 11th. So sometime twixt, we'll say first couple weeks of August. How about that? This is what was going on after now the speech, as I call it, the speech. Tucker Carlson's address to GPUSA student. It's interesting, is it not, that conference in Tampa was called the Student Action Summit. I was there. She was there. Maddie P. was there. Jacqueline was there. Steve, her husband Steve was there. Jim Mosier was there. Josh K. was there. We were all there. So we don't need someone to tell us what it was like being there because we were there. We can actually tell you. And I've talked about it before, but I want to play the Charlie clip because he's going to get asked a question about it, and here's the answer.
So, let me ask a question. If we were to remove, if people said what Tucker said is anti-Semitic, I don't hold that view. But it's like a lot of people on Twitter are calling us out and whatever. That's not going to happen. But if we were to cancel Tucker, would anti-Semitism increase or decrease?
I think increase because that means any supporter of Tucker Carlson's statement therefore makes them anti-Semitic.
Exactly.
Association, 100%.
Exactly. But the binary that's presented is that if you don't passionately talk about it, you are a hater. That's probably destructive for everybody involved. So for me, I'm trying to find this new path, which is, I love Israel. I visited there. My wife and I had the best experiences ever. I saw where Jesus
Stop the tape for just a moment. Howard Cosell here reporting. I'm trying to find this new path. Now, let me be very clear to people that are watching on X or anywhere else. I am not trying to take advantage of what happened to Charlie. Please do not misunderstand. But I am very interested in the future. And so was Charlie, which is why I think this Adam kid released this video just yesterday. Okay, roll the tape.
And he walked on water. But also, I'm an American, and I represent a generation that can't afford anything, and that we are flooded with illegals, and no one speaks English, and our hospitals are clogged. I think we need to have the prudence to reject the Jew hate. Okay, we're not going to put up with that. That's dumb. But also, if you call everyone an anti-Semite, if they don't take a puritanical view of the Netanyahu government, then I think it's bad for everybody.
So would you guys all basically safe to say welcome us not talking about Israel nearly as much?
Yes.
100%.
Every day.
Stop the tape! Stop the tape! That is not a, Hamas. The entire room of young people all erupt. Yeah. What does that tell you about the youths out there? They're over it. This is Magdalene Rose has been saying here. Young conservatives are over this. They're not Zionists. They did not drink the blue and white Kool-Aid. All right, roll the rest of the tape. There's a little bit more to it.
a cope that is often found in broken institutions. And I've found this now over 13 years. It's a great truism. You guys can learn it for the rest of your life. Anybody that tells you we have a messaging problem, you should go a step deeper and ask another question. Being like, what, are you actually doing something wrong, or are you bad at messaging it? Because people that are doing bad stuff will sometimes be like, well, we're just not presenting it correctly. Sometimes that's true, or sometimes there actually might be something beneath the surface that you're not doing well. So do you guys think that it's a messaging problem, or that it's an actual material concept problem?
It's a values and priorities problem.
Yeah, it's definitely a messaging problem. These politicians, they don't need to be car salesmen. You know, we need the truth, we need the direct truth, and nothing but the truth. But these politicians, they're not truthful. You know, they're digging Gen Z down in the dirt.
Who represents you best outside of Trump? Well, thank you.
They all pointed at him.
And I don't do that just for the sake of it either. I mean, you're here involving us for a reason, because we are the important group. We're going to inherit all of these issues.
I agree.
So
no, again, the reason I'm doing this is that the reason we're doing this focus group, and Andrew will attest, I've been trying to tell them that there is an earthquake coming on this issue and in the country, and they don't believe me. So I'm like, why don't you just hear it from people themselves?
Oh my Lord, folks. Drop your linen and stop your grinning. Okay, a couple of things that we are going to have to play a conjecture and Inspector Gadget. Who's the, I've been trying to tell them. Who's the them? Who's the them? Well, I'm going to hazard a guess. The Zionists. The Israel firsters. The purebloods. Everything that Hamas Netanyahu says is golden. It's true. We must shalom. I have been trying to tell them there is an earthquake coming. Now, I can read between the lines, and I can tell you what he didn't actually say it. Well, he kind of did say it, actually. What's he saying? What was Charlie saying? Charlie was saying those young people in that focus group have had it with their lives being ruined, while the politicians and the political class in Mordor ships hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine and Israel and stands for Israel first and Ukraine first. Everyone gets a first except young Americans. You heard the kids say, well, they just lie. And we don't trust them. Well, look, you and I didn't trust a generation of politicians. I think some of that's baked into the cake, regardless. He was as close to young people and to the next generation of, look, when you and I are in our depends and are taking laps around the nursing home, those kids in that room are going to be running the show. So you better pay attention to them right now. And I think that's what Charlie was trying to say. And I think he obviously, because he is in charge of TPUSA, it's his group, he founded him. He was obviously saying, guys, I can't sell this to these young people anymore. And you know what? To tell the truth, I don't really buy it myself. He was having an awakening. Now, there's a lot of people, and I've seen them writing just in the last 2 days. Charlie Kirk, the Israel first, or the Zionist. I think you are misreading that, sir, and I think you're going to rue the day that you wrote that. We all, if you're Catholic, so I'll talk to my Catholic bros now, please tell me you spend your days, when you do pray the rosary or however you pray, number one, for your enemies, and pray for a Catholic America. Now, some Protestants are going to get upset about that. I don't think that you would actually that you would be very unhappy in living in it. Remember Mark Kreslins used to say, Mike, if you and Simpson could actually deliver a Catholic America, I'd be happy as a Protestant to live in it. Because we'd have the rule of law under Christ. So I hope that you're spending some time praying for the conversion and reversion of souls. And certainly for the young people to find Christ, to find God, to find tradition. Because what is in tradition? Family. What are great nations made up of? Not great sovereignties, not great armies, great people. In Christendom, it was great people under Christ, under the banner of Christ the King. I think that Charlie was working toward that goal in a lot of what he did. And it's true, he's evangelical. Go and watch Brother Andre Marie and I's Wisdom Wednesday video on YouTube, which now has over 1,000 views. That's like 1 million for us. Our videos get 146 views. You have 1,000 and some, that's like 1 million. Where I asked Brother, the religious authority on the Crusade channel, Brother, can you answer the question? Could a Protestant ever become a canonized Catholic saint? Of course, the answer will literally surprise you. And people have written me going like, Mike, that's a really, thanks to you and Brother, thanks to Brother for being so, so candid and so charitable in the way he described it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a Buffalo Springfield song. There's something happening. What it is ain't exactly clear. I think what it is becoming very clear. And now if we go back to Charles Coulomb, but by the way, I'd love to hear from anyone that wants to call and talk about this. I got a telephone line here. It's open. 844-527-8723 is the call-in line telephone number. Or become a Founders Pass member. Go join right now. Sign up for as little as $5, crusadechannel.com/join. And then go to the Crusader Stadium chat room, crusadechannel.com/chat. And if you can't make the phone call, well, then you can put your comment in the chat room. Charles Coulomb. So he's writing about the American Civil Wars. In memoriam, Charlie Kirk. Although an evangelical, he was married to a Catholic lady and his children were Catholic. And lately he had begun promoting devotion to Our Lady among his co-religionists, which personal experience shows is often a sign of ongoing conversion. To his supporters, he was a saint and a martyr. To some of his opponents, he was the devil incarnate. Others are trying to pursue a more moderate course, for which they are roundly condemned by both sides. Now, reactions to all three of these horrific incidents showed quite clearly, and again, this is Charles Coulomb. If you don't know who Charles Coulomb is, he's a good friend of mine, has been for over a decade, a brilliant author, a brilliant scholar, a papal knight, and just an all-around funny party guy. You'd love hanging out with Charles. Come to the St. Benedict Center Conference in October 11th, 10th, it's 9th and 10th. 9th and 10th. Go to Catholicism.org. Get your tickets today. I'll be there. Charles will be there. We'd love to see you. Charles wrote too many books to mention. One of the last ones was Blessed Karl. It was about the Emperor Karl. And the Catholic Search for the Holy Grail, one of my favorite books. By the way, the Holy Grail, we know where it is. Send me an email, amkingdude@protonmail.com, and I'll tell you where it is. You can go visit in Spain. Charles. He had his opponents on the right, someone on the left, most notably Bernie Sanders, have been amazingly civilized. As I said, it's incredible what Bernie said about Charlie. But the fact remains that at bottom, listen to this. At bottom, one America believes that God exists and that countries and individuals are accountable to him, that he has created man and bestowed rights and obligations upon him from conception until death, that he has created man as both male and female, and ordained marriage between them solely, and a great many other things stemming from those first principles. The other America denies the lot and has very different ideas stemming from those denials. Even among longtime friends, there's battle lines being drawn in the immortal words of Buffalo Springfield. Of course, the next line follows that nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Now, on the day of Mr. Kirk's murder, I put out what I hoped were pacificatory notes about the need to behave in a civilized manner in times like these. I was immediately informed by several young Facebook friends that I was old and out of touch and did not understand how horrible things really are, especially for men with families and single white males, and that they welcomed the coming conflict. That's a change of pace, by the way, folks. Young men going like, you want to fight? Let's do it. You know, we're told our whole lives, we don't settle things by fighting. Sometimes we do. Kenny Rogers' song, Coward of the County, comes to mind. 20 years of crawling, bottled up inside him, and sometimes you got to fight to be a man, and he beats up the Gatlin boys. I always wondered if there was a joke in there for the guy that wrote the song against the Gatlin brothers. Okay, Charles, would I have told the Cristeros and the Vendée to stand down? I was asked. There was a great deal more to the same effect, to the point that I took down the threads. There could be no arguing with ad hominems, but I bear my young interlocutors no ill will. They have been handed an increasingly poisonous environment where reality is reduced to the views of one side or another. Their understandable anger at the failures of my generation, I was born in 1960, so I'm a junior boomer. So am I. By the way, I've confessed. I've told my daughters, my generation completely and totally blew it. We absolutely botched it, and you're going to have to fix it. As parents and as stewards of the land, of culture, and of society is currently aimed at the ideology formed thereby and being pressed upon them. But our very failure to teach them history makes it difficult for them to see reality. Beyond their own experience, moreover, everything is personalized. One particularly annoying trait we did succeed in passing on to them. So it is that my young friends appear to be chomping at the bit for a third American Civil War. Before pontificating further, let me point out a few realities about the first two civil wars, although we might even say there were four, given that both and then he gets into some history, which I'm going to skip. Then we're going to fast forward ahead. Not only was the South devastated, but the Reconstruction regime, this is after 6 paragraphs of descriptions of two wars. Not only was the South devastated, but the Reconstruction regime that followed in turn created the reaction of Jim Crow. The two together created that radical hatred that has plagued our country ever since. Indeed, it may be said that Irina Zarutska's murder, and more specifically the indifference of her fellow travelers as she bled out, was one of the latter-day fruits of those two unpleasant phenomena. But what makes the current Civil War under contemplation different is that loyalists and rebels, Unionists and Confederates, for the most part, had a shared moral consensus to which they all appealed on their own behalf. Both sides in either war claimed that the God they all believed in was on their side, and their cause provable by appeal to unquestioned values they all accepted. Even with all that going for them, the carnage and mayhem was horrible. Today, the two sides do not have even that going for them, so the opposition becomes incomprehensible, and so all the more to be feared. In contemplating the whole sad business, and before one gets excited about going into battle, let us contemplate what it would actually mean. 2 years ago, a brilliant film came out called Civil War, exploring what such a conflict in modern America might look like. What I liked most about it was that it was apolitical. The two states whose secession caused the president to take an illegal third term were California and Texas, thus immediately removing any current issues from the question. And indeed, we never do find out what the political issues are. We'll be right. We'll continue when we come back.
Hey, Jim, remember when we Joe Walsh?
Now we just talk about making hit records. Well, parody versions of hit records.
Join the KingDude and Jim Mosier as they pick apart the greatest parody songs of all time and the hits they were based on. It's Album Autopsy, exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and podcast radio the way it should be, and doesn't disappoint your mother.
The Crusade Channel and the Slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Sister Maria Filomena with your Saint of the Day. September 19th, St. Januarius and companions who were martyred in the year 304. At the opening of Diocletian's persecution, St. Januarius was the Bishop of Benevento. He was arrested along with his deacon and lector after he had visited 4 friends in prison earlier to bring them all the consolations of the faith and give them the strength necessary for their trial. The following day, they were all exposed in the amphitheater, but the beasts, forgetting their natural ferocity, crouched at the feet of Januarius. The governor attributed this to magical arts and condemned the martyrs of the Christ to be beheaded, but as he was pronouncing the sentence, he was suddenly struck blind. However, at the prayer of Januarius, he soon recovered his sight, after which miracle 5,000 men embraced the faith. The ungrateful judge, however, was in no way affected by the benefit conferred upon him, and on the contrary, he was enraged by so many conversions, and fearing the emperor's edicts, he ordered the holy bishop and his companions to be beheaded. His relics were moved from place to place, but eventually they were enshrined in the Cathedral of St. Januarius in Naples. There are 2 vials of his blood there, which liquefy 18 times every year on 3 occasions. September 19th is also the commemoration of Our Lady of La Salette. She appeared on September 19th in 1846 to 2 shepherd children in France with a message of warning and repentance, asking for prayers and sacrifices, and specifically warned about the punishments for blasphemy, the desecration of Sundays, and the disregard for Jesus' name. Our Lady of La Salette, St. Januarius, and companions, pray for us. Thank you for joining us for this brief summary of the lives of today's saints. Tomorrow's saint is Saint Eustace and his family. To access all of our Saint of the Day recordings as podcasts, head to crusadechannel.com/saints. You can learn more about our sisters in the building of our convent by visiting stphilomenaconvent.org. I'm Sister Maria Filomena, and until next time, God bless and Mary keep you.
Do you hear that, Maggie?
Do I hear what?
You don't hear the sound of bees buzzing about?
No, I see the result of that buzzing about in these beautiful new beeswax candles.
We sell candles now?
Not just any candles. These are handmade beeswax candles.
Well, that explains me imagining bees.
And they come in different sizes. There's a votive, a 3-day, and a 7-day size too.
Well, that should start a buzz in the store.
It better, or you'll get the buzz.
Order handmade beeswax candles today while supplies last at shop.mikechurch.com.
While Trump continues to try and make America great again
by doing Mortal Kombat with the Clinton, Comey, and Clapper crime families.
You forgot the...
Nope, did not. And the King of Russia treason, the Obama father.
Well, we'll always be there for you with the best live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio.
The way it should be.
If women living near rivers and taking a pill turns the frickin' frogs gay, imagine what happens to men on the same river who don't listen to Mike Church.
Let's do it! You gotta beat the clock, you gotta beat the clock. You can boogie, love disco, love that disco sound. Move up your body, spinning round and round. But don't forget, oh no. Don't forget, oh no. The stars on 45 keep on turning in your mind. But we can work it out. Remember, twist the shout. You still not tell me why and no reply. Sugar, honey, honey, you are my candy girl, and you got me wanting you, honey.
The stars on 45.
candy girl, and you got me wanting you. 1, 2, 3, 4. This happened once before. I came to your door. No reply.
I'm just letting the Stars on 45 play, Maggie. There's nothing wrong.
But I saw you peek through your window.
Greatest radio producer in history, radio producer, looking at me like, what's wrong? Okay, what's going on here? What are you hearing?
I heard feedback. You don't hear that?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I heard feedback. Yes. No, they thought it was a bell. Every time a bell rings, a crusader gets its wing, Maggie. Now, come on. All right, I just updated the stadium during the timeout to reflect the next week's crowdfunding, and you can see the amount requested and that we are sitting on
0.0.
So we hit this week's goal yesterday, thanks to Dustin Etter and 16 other of you. Thank you. Now let's start working on next week's. CrusadeChannel.com/donate. CrusadeChannel.com/donate. Right now, Timothy Cardinal Dolan is on Fox and Friends. He has an editorial on Wall Street Journal today talking about how young people or youths may get to know Christ because Charlie got to know Christ here. And he was just asked a question by Brian Kilmeade. He said, well, is there equivocation? Is Tyler, James Robinson, his point of view, is it equally valid to Charlie's? And I was sitting there going like, oh, how are you going to answer this one? And then we had to go to Stars on 45. So I didn't hear the answer, is the point. But I think, as I have been talking about here on the Mike Church Show on a Free Phone Friday, 844-527-8723, the mistake that has been made, and we can correct this, but the mistake that has been made is in asserting that error has a right, and an error's right to be said and to be promulgated and to be instituted is just the same as the rights of the good, the true, and the beautiful. That's not true. And that is not how, for example, the cathedral in Cologne, Germany, got built. Everyone agreed. There is one God. Ladies and gentlemen, you live in a nation or under the rubric of a nation, a union of states, where a significant double-digit percentage of people do not believe that there is a God, and similarly do not believe, therefore, that said God should be in charge of anything, and that we're all going to have to answer to him for what we do here on this earth. You tell me, how do you reconcile that? They are now basically in the position that even murder is acceptable if you kill the right person for the right reason. Charlie Kirk. I don't know how anyone thinks that you can say that there is some sort of a negotiation where you sit down at a table and, okay, well, we're only going to kill people 6 times a year who we disagree with. Well, let the rest of you live. I think this is why Charles is writing about the coming Civil War. I believe, and I haven't read to the end of Charles's speech, but I believe that the way to avoid this Civil War is for actual freedom. And that freedom must also include the right of self-determination and self-government. And if a state, say Louisiana or Texas, for example, or Florida, wants to go on its own and wants to say, you know what, we're not funding your America Last activities. Even though Trump's there, you still don't get it, Johnson. You still don't get it, Senate, and we're not doing it anymore. Yeah, but that would be a breakup of no, I think it would actually I think we need to think of secession in the sense of not that you're going to have all these disparate states like they had in the Grecian days when there were like 2,000 little republics in what we call Greece today. And at one point, there were like 600 different little republics in what we call Italy today. I think you need to think of it in the sense of what Professor Livingston has said, rethinking the American Union for the 21st century. It probably would come to metastasize itself in the form of new unions. Maybe you have 6. Maybe you have 8. Maybe you have 2. Maybe you have some states that decide they don't want to join your regional union or your union. California, Washington, Oregon, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all come to mind. Would half the state of Pennsylvania tell the other half to go screw themselves? Yeah, you want to join New York? Blank you. Because if you leave Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, the rest of Pennsylvania is crimson red. Crimson, it's not red, it is crimson red. Yeah, but we keep everybody together and we don't have a shooting war. You have a stabbing war. Charlie was killed by a bullet. That's a shooting war. Yeah, trannies going and murdering children while they're assisting at mass. That's a shooting war. You already have shooters. And then we're being told there's nothing you can do about it. We must accept the trans as they are. Like hell. Like hell. Okay, back to Charles Coulomb at 1 Peter 5. Title of the piece is America's Three Civil Wars. And I skip down to near the end. But what makes the current Civil War under contemplation different is that loyalists and rebels, unionists and Confederates, for the most part, had a shared moral consensus to which they all appealed on their own behalf. Both sides in either war claimed that the God they all believed in was on their side, and their cause provable by appeal to unquestioned values they all accepted. Even with all that going for them, the carnage and mayhem was horrible, and he put that in bold. Today, the two sides don't even have that going for them, so the opposition becomes incomprehensible and so all the more to be feared. In contemplating the whole sad business, and before one gets excited about going into battle, let us contemplate what it would actually mean. 2 years ago, a brilliant little film came out called Civil War. And then he talked about that the two states whose secession caused the president to take an illegal third term were California and Texas, thus immediately removing any current issues from the question. And indeed, we never do find out what the political issues are. What we do see in graphic detail is what happens in most civil wars, transferred to a modern American setting. It makes for a most thought-provoking picture, because people like him pictures. I would recommend that everyone on either side who is the most vocal watch this film. That's all well and good, Mr. Coulomb. I can imagine one of my young interlocutors saying, well, what if they force us into it? A fat old man like you wouldn't be expected to fight anyway. If you can't cheer us on, old man, then at least get out of the way. I can imagine this because I have received such notes. Well, if it came to it, of course, there could be no question of where my loyalties would lie. But I have seen my share of war, albeit not one Americans were or are involved in. If such a war comes to our country in my time, which God forbid, then I must agree with the sentiments that J.R.R. Tolkien, himself a veteran of the horrors of the First World War, put in the mouth of Faramir. Quote, remember this? War must be, while we defend our lives against a destroyer who would devour all. But I do not love the bright sword for its sharpness, nor the arrow for its swiftness, nor the warrior for his glory. I love only that which they defend. But so long as decent behavior, civility, and kindness can fend off or even avoid entirely such a conflict, we have an obligation to try. Although, of course, our sacred principles cannot be compromised. If the feared conflict should come, then, like Blessed Carl, whose skill in warfare no one questioned, we must fulfill our tasks as effectively but as chivalrously as we can, remembering that our opponents are human beings like ourselves, for whom Christ poured his precious blood out just as much as he did for us. He shall not forget this, even if we do, and our opponents do not believe it. That is something that is something Charlie Kirk was most assuredly aware of. And then there's the trailer for Civil War Inevitable with Eric Sammons there. I think that you should read Charles's piece. I haven't seen the Civil War movie. Maybe we'll watch it tonight. I didn't watch it because someone that did watch it told us that it was awful. It was terrible, 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 terrible. It was Charles Barkley terrible. So I didn't watch it, but if Sir Charles says that I should, then I'll give it a go, because he'll question me at the St. Benedict's. They'll go, well, Mr. George, you didn't watch the movie, then, did you? No, Charles, you must not have watched the whole thing. To Charles's point about the two sides, what would you be fighting for? You know, to have a just war, you have to have the expectation of a victory, and you also have the expectation that that victory produces goodness. So, what would this war be fought for? I am not going to lead a regiment of Louisianans into Illinois to go remove Fat Boy Pumpkinhead, child-killing Pritzker. And I say child-killing, pro-abort, pro-tranny, pro-mutilation. Because someone, if you remove him, someone will probably just move in and be the next strong guy, tough guy. What happens if California and others, they decide that they're going to secede, and form their own union? Do you think that they're going to have armies? What might they think of us when they discover that they actually are going to have to pick their own avocados for their toast? What might they discover when they realize that man cannot exist on tofu alone? And since they chased all the cattle ranchers away and they have no beef, what might they do to get some? So, what would California do? What would the people of Washington State or Oregon or Illinois or New York or all the rest of them? They have no desire to be farmers. They have no desire to actually create food. These people create like two things: mutilation, suffering, and misery. So would it be the agrarian South again versus the industrial North? It would no. It would be the industrial South and the agrarian South versus people that don't live in reality. I don't even think it would be a fair fight. But what would you be fighting? You're going to make them all convert and lock them away in camps? That'd be one very large prison camp. You start thinking about this, and a Mad Max scenario starts to go like, you have this giant wall, and on the other side of the wall is Gavin Gruesome Newsom and all the bad people in Mad Max. And on this side of the wall are the people that won the war and spend their lives now trying to keep the orcs out. Is that a desirable outcome? I'd say that the most desirable outcome is that these people must convert.
Yeah, because it couldn't be a good versus evil, because you can never snuff out evil.
Right, because you can never, Maggie's right, you can never just snuff out evil. So again, I asked the question, what would you then be fighting the war for? And if you can't determine that, well, then I don't think that you should be talking about wars. Because again, you have to have there's got to be, what is the object of every war? Peace. Peace is the object of every war. There's conflict here. You want it resolved, then you want the conflict to end, then you want peace. So I don't see how that's going to happen. Do you think the people that want to mutilate children are just all of a sudden going to have an epiphany? I don't believe that they are. It's possible. Who would have thought a year ago that you'd have large double-digit percentages, maybe even majorities of young men professing as Christians, and many of them professing as young Catholics? You could have said that a year ago. No one would have believed you. And you know what? Those of us that talked about it, what did we always say that how that would happen? There would be a divine intervention. I'm not asking this question just for poops and giggles. Was the assassination of Charlie? Well, no, because you can't do an evil to bring about a good. So we can actually answer that question. But then again, God does things because he wills them into action or he allows them. So, what would you be fighting for? Let's play some digital media files here on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade channel. In the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. Main man, Jeff, is that how you see the divide? Jeff, who's going to build the fence on either side of the land bridge? Or is this going to be like in Star Trek, in the Star Trek universe? Is that the neutral zone? And are we going to have episodes of it? Are we going to have episodes of the Kobayashi Maru crossing into the? And by you draw that line. The land bridge line is blue. Why isn't the land bridge line red?
Because it's only path for the blue.
No, I see it. I see it.
It seems like blowing up the land bridge is strategic.
Hey, by the way, I want you all to say hi to A. Murphy in the chat room. Maggie was trying to get her into the chat room yesterday, and then she couldn't do it. The way they were trying it, then she consulted me because I'm hearing this going, okay, wait a minute, let me work this out for you. I couldn't solve the problem, so the way I solved the problem was, you're going to have to switch browsers. But A. Murphy is in the chat room again. It hasn't been in a long time, so welcome back. Welcome back. Play digital media file number 2. The leftards are losing their mind over Trump saying that the FCC might pull broadcast licenses. Again, this is like Pope Francis rambling at 30,000 feet aboard the papal plane here. This was an off-the-cuff remark, which, by the way, he caught himself after he said, well, yeah, maybe take I don't know, maybe they should lose their licenses. But, and then everyone cuts the quote right there. Let the tape roll and you'll hear, but that's up to Brendan Carr. Okay, that's up to Brendan Carr. So, and again, 30,000 foot press conference or 35,000, whatever altitude Air Force One flies at. That's not policy making. That's just him rambling. You all know, I'm not breaking any news. President Trump has a very large ego, and he thinks everything's about him. So does anyone really think that was a policy pronouncement? I mean, come on, man. In any event, here is Trump. Now, I watched this entire interview with Martha McCallum. So I actually thought it was pretty good. He kept interrupting her because she's trying to move on to the next question. He goes, wait a minute. Hold on. And she said, hold on. She said bad people. Okay, well, I'll let him speak.
Do a big thing with respect to Antifa. It's a sick group. I mean, very, very sick group. We have a lot of things. They love burning the American flag. I think it's terrible that they burn the American flag. We're going in and we're saying it incites riots, and therefore you go to jail for 1 year if you burn the American flag. That's different than Antifa, but Antifa burns a lot of American flags. Because as you know, the free speech got us on the American flag. The courts have ruled free speech. So we're going to go on an incitement of riots. I saw it the other day. I saw it the other day in
He
UK.
cuts
The
her off.
American flag, and the guy starts burning it. And the people went crazy about it, and they ended up rioting all over the place. So we think that's a reason also. And we're going into the courts with that, which is incitement. Antifa causes tremendous incitement, and the things they say and the things they do are horrible. So we're going to find out.
Now, you have to understand, you should all know by now, but maybe you don't watch Trump as closely as I do. You should all know by now that, okay, that's what's going to happen. He's not actually going to do it. He's going to tell Stephen Miller to figure it out. He's going to tell Todd Blanche to figure it out. He's going to tell, heaven forfend, Pam Bondi to figure it out. But as I said yesterday, dude, all you need is a couple of warrants, and you open up the Pandora's box that is the bank account under warrant now. The bank account of some of these left-wing lunatic agitators, and you're going to find out where the money's coming from. It's all about the money. Do I always say follow the money? Well, follow the money. And when you find out who is funding and financing this, as we have been talking about, do any of these punks ever actually work? No. They're paid to drive or fly or get in caravans or whatever it is around the country and to do professional agitation. This is what they are. They are professional protesters. But for what end? To bring about bad policy decisions. Policy decisions that are antithetical to the good, the true, and the beautiful, and to human flourishing, which is why good people have to oppose this, and why good people cannot be compelled to live in sin. You can't say, this is our policy, this is what the law says, and knowing that it's mortally sinful, and then expect that people are going to obey. No, there will be civil disobedience.
WE and the UFC for live talk radio Thursday Night Throwdown, hosted by you. Win a seat at the table, win the throwdown, and then you pick next week's topic.
Now that's real live talk radio exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Radio, the way it should be.
Hey folks, did you know that the word watch, as in wristwatch, originates from the Old English word watcha, meaning watchfulness, and was initially used to describe keeping a lookout or being alert? Well, I know two guys who keep a lookout for the highest quality watch movements, bands, and then apply their own love for liberty and the Second Amendment to the design of the faces, and bammo, you have the 2A Liberty Watch Company. My friends George and Josh design watches that are sharp, functional, and inspire. I wear my 2A 4547 POTUS watch every day, and you'll love yours too. Shop their entire line today at 2awatchcompany.com. Use the code CHURCH for 10% off at 2awatchcompany.com. Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com.
You're listening to the Crusade Channel, a Black Hat Studios media property, broadcasting live 24/7 from Madisonville, Louisiana, and to the world via CrusadeChannel.com.
Crusade Channel News. News you can trust. Because the truth can be trusted. From the Crusade Channel News Desk, here's Janet Huxley.
Hello, Crusaders. Welcome to Friday, September 19th, 2025. I'm Janet Huxley, reporting for the Crusade Channel News Desk, live from the Dothan Farm and Ranch, south of Kansas City, Missouri. This report brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that's won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. Here's what to listen for this hour. Turning Point USA elects Erica Kirk as new CEO. Senate confirms 48 Trump nominees under new expedited procedure. Virginia boys win in court after being labeled sexual harassers over transgender locker room complaint. And Earth's new quasi-moon has likely hidden in plain sight for decades. Turning Point USA announced yesterday it unanimously elected Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, as the new CEO and chair of the organization. In prior discussions, Charlie expressed to multiple executives that this is what he wanted in the event of his death, the organization said in a post on X. It was the honor of our lives to serve as board members at Charlie's side, Turning Point USA's current board said in a statement released. Charlie prepared all of us for a moment like this one. He worked tirelessly to ensure Turning Point USA was built to survive even the greatest tests. And now it's our great pride to announce Erica Kirk as the new CEO and chair of the board for Turning Point USA. The U.S. Senate on September 18th voted in one step to confirm 48 nominations made by the president to various executive branch agencies. The move comes a week after the chamber adopted a new rule allowing Trump's nominees to be confirmed more quickly, and the nominations included several national security-related positions. 2 Virginia boys who were suspended after complaining about a transgender classmate in their locker room have won emergency relief in federal court. Again, it was the Loudoun County Public Schools, they seem to be a problem, in Northern Virginia that launched a Title IX sexual harassment investigation into the 2 high school-aged boys after they were videotaped by a biological female who identified as transgender inside the locker room. Within days of the federal court ruling, a judge subsequently granted the parents and their boys emergency relief, blocking the district's disciplinary repercussions. Once again, while the case moves forward. Our quote of the day: "He alone loves the Creator perfectly, who manifests a pure love for his neighbor, Saint Bede the Venerable." And coming up, our saint of the day. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Cappuccino Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com. On August 4th, the Crusade Channel will launch Crusade Channel 4.0, and you'll see why.
What in the world? Sorry, I was hanging up the new Mike Church 4.0 sign. 4.0? When did they even have a 3.0? Am I missing something here?
Buckle up, Speed Demon, because you'll soon discover why Crusade Channel 4.0 roars like the muscle car of media. Rooming past the competition with 0 emissions of boredom exclusively on CrusadeChannel.com.
Our saint of the day is Saint Januarius. Little is known about the life of Januarius, but he's believed to have been martyred in the Emperor Diocletian's persecution of 305. Legend has it, Januarius and his companions were thrown to the bears in the amphitheater of Pozzoli, but the animals failed to attack them. They were then beheaded, and Januarius's blood ultimately brought to Naples. A dark mass that half fills a hermetically sealed 4-inch glass container and is preserved in a double reliquary in the Naples Cathedral as the blood of Saint Januarius liquefies 18 times during the year. Various experiments have been applied, but the phenomenon eludes natural explanation, says the Catholic Encyclopedia. We remember Saint Januarius today. Astronomers believe they've discovered another so-called quasi-moon of Earth, though it's likely been circling around undetected in near space for decades. Dubbed 2025 PN7, this mini-moon is actually an asteroid which, unlike our own full-fledged moon, orbits the Sun alongside the Earth. The discovery of 2025 PN7 was described in a new study published in the journal Research Notes of the American Astronomical Society on September 2nd. Now, according to the report, 2025 PN7 is just 62 feet wide and bright enough to spot only through a high-quality telescope. French journalist Adrien Coffinet was the first to introduce to the world 2025 PN7 on August 30th per Live Science for the Minor Planet mailing list, where amateur astronomers gather online to share and collect the latest data. You're listening to Crusade Channel News. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Silk Feather. Ma'am, what would you like to drink?
Oh, I'll take the Dom. The Dom Perignon, of course.
Ah, the lady has taste. And you, sir? I'll just take the Diet Coke. Oh, dear. You know, what I miss about the good old days before social media and AI ruined everything?
Let me guess. No fat people outside of the circus, and Ozempic was the name of a demon in C.S. Lewis story, right?
Well, yeah. But besides that, classic radio shows with actors and actual stories.
Well, lucky for the human race, the Crusade Channel is rolling over 900 episodes of a show called Suspense.
Tweak your mystery-solving muscles over lunch and catch episodes of Suspense, weekdays noon till 2 on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and classic radio the way it should be.
I like my version of suspense. Hey!
Doesn't work without me.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
The Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look, the plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem. I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
It's what they use to make Brondo.
Yeah, but why do they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
I got a new motto on this show this hour. Can't we all just Savannah Banana? Can't we all just Savannah Bananas? By the way, Kamala Harris is now admitting in her new book that no one's going to actually read because she didn't write it. Kamala the shape heals up Harris is now admitting she didn't pick Tim Walsh. She didn't want him. She didn't like him. She wanted gay boy Petey Babadook Buttigieg. She didn't think the country could handle a homo and a black woman. In other words, all of you are bigot, racist hick hayseeds. Do these people think before they write? I don't think so. Mike Churchill here with you on a Free Phone Friday.
Oh, and remember, Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Do it!
It's Free Phone.
That is.
It's Free Phone.
Yes, it is a Free Phone Friday. You're not going to do it, but you could. Call-in line telephone number. The telephones actually work. 844-527-8723. 844-5-CRUSADE. Last live talk radio show and station standing literally now. Folks, still sitting on goose eggs. Because Dustin Eder bailed us out yesterday with a very large contribution that made this week's crowdfunding whole. Thank you very much again, Dustin, and everyone that contributed. Next week is already here, and because we're going to be out of town most of it, and off air live, we won't have that great of a chance to fundraise. So, and we will need to do it. Otherwise, we come back the following Tuesday, and the electricity has been cut off. So, I'm working on some things here that somebody said yesterday, we'll just raise the price. Oh, dude, if it was only that easy. The far easier thing is for you all to send me one paragraph long testimonials of why you think people that, and there are 4,500 of them, canceled their subscriptions over the past 10 years, should come back. Far easier. And I will send them out individually. Hey, this is what this gal says. So, like a Bee Gees song, what you doing on your back? What you doing on your back, bro? Rejoin the crusade. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary. These are Democrats being arrested yesterday in New York. Okay. Quickly. No one's going to see this, and no one has seen it, but it has been published, so I should mention it to you. Israel approaches Egypt's red line. Egypt's president's name is Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Let's see here. Maybe you missed the September 15th address by Egypt's president Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the extraordinary summit convened in the aftermath of Israel's attack on Qatar. By the way, Trump was asked again yesterday, standing next to Keir Starmer, what he thought about the attack on Qatar, and he just, again, I don't like it. I don't like someone, now I don't know who reported this, but someone said they were somewhere away from the cameras, but that President Trump was having a conversation with Keir Starmer or someone from the UK before the King's dinner the other night, 2 nights ago, and they could clearly hear Trump say, he was asked a question about Netanyahu and Qatar, and he said, well, he to me. He totally to me, and I don't like it. I told Maggie, I'm like, dude, you don't get on the wrong side of that man and survive. Witness Elon Musk. Now, throwing Netanyahu, as he should be, the war criminal, under the bus is not as easy as getting rid of Elon. There are dead bodies. There is a war that you okayed. You greenlit. You bombed people in Iran on this lunatic's behalf, which we all said at the time, don't do it. And when you did it, for God's sake, don't brag about it. So now that some people in that administration may be telling him, Mr. President, they're not going to stop. Even if you tell them to stop, they're not going to stop. How do you get out of this? He's got an ego. This is a problem. I'm telling you, as a lukewarm Trump supporter, I'm telling you, this is difficult to get out of. You tell me, how do you get out of it? An apology? You do a national address? I'm sorry. Do you say, we no longer think that... Look, the world also missed yesterday. Kyr's, is it Kier or Kyer? I thought it was Kier too. All right. Keir Starmer, UK Prime Minister, is asked an embarrassing question by a member of the BBC or the British press. And he said, and the question was, and I'm going to paraphrase here because you probably don't have it on the cut sheet, but I heard it. The question was, you got the president right there in front of you right now. Why don't you tell him, and why can't we have a public discussion right now about your position that Palestine needs to be protected and that it must be a free state again? And Starmer, and then finally rambled on something about Hamas. Got Hamas evil out of the way, and Trump just kind of looked at him, patted him on the back, and said, attaboy, attaboy. You can just continue to pray, and I do every day. Someone in the Trump administration gets his ear and tells him that Jared Kushner and the neocons and Ivanka and all of them, all the Israel firsters and the Zionists have been using him. And, dude, if the bloom goes off of that rose, you could really have a situation where you could literally, seriously have a full-scale revolution in the United States if Israel were finally, as it should be, and appropriately removed from power in the U.S. Miniature plan, you can't say that. I'm not the only one saying it. I'm not the only one that has been saying it. For whatever reason, President Trump has been I don't want to say he's a useful idiot because he's not an idiot, but he has been convinced by people that he trusts that this is the thing, and maybe he swallowed the Zionism BS.
His daughter's married to a
So Starmer's asked the question. Well, Starmer's position is actually the correct one. So back to the president of Israel. Why wasn't this broadcast? Well, you know why it wasn't broadcast. Sadat's path-breaking remarks established the perimeters of the historic Israel-Egyptian engagement that are now under threat. This is Jeffrey Aronson at the American Conservative magazine website. For all of its faults and inadequacies, peace between Egypt and Israel heralded a new, far from Pacific era in Israel, Arab, and regional affairs, with American-led diplomacy at its center. And Trump is on the right side of the Abraham Accords. Netanyahu micturated on them. If God has destined me to shoulder the responsibility on behalf of the Egyptian people, declares Sadat at the Knesset podium, one of the prime duties of this responsibility is to leave no stone unturned to spare my Egyptian Arab people the harrowing horrors of another destructive war, whose extent only God can know. After lengthy thinking, I came to the conclusion that the responsibility I shoulder before God and before the people makes it incumbent upon me to go anywhere in the world, even to Jerusalem, to unfold before the Knesset members, representatives of the Israeli people, all the facts. I would then leave you to make up your minds, and may God's will be done. I tell you today and declare to the whole world that we accept to live with you in durable and just peace. We do not want to encircle each other with rockets ready to destroy or with missiles of feuds and hatred. I ask you today through my visit to you, why don't we extend our hands in faith and sincerity to shatter this barrier together? Expansion will gain you nothing. As for the Palestinian cause, no one can deny that this is the crux of the whole problem. No one in the world today can accept slogans raised here in Israel, ignoring the existence of the Palestinian people, and even questioning, where is that people, huh? The cause of the Palestinian people and the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people are no longer ignored or denied by anybody. And so then you go to the next quote. Israel, Sisi declared, seeks to turn the region into an arena for aggression, which threatens stability in the entire region and constitutes a serious breach of international peace and security and the stable rules of the international order. He continued, quote, Israeli practices have exceeded any political or military logic and crossed all red lines. Now, this is three days ago. To the people of Israel, I say, what is happening now undermines the future of peace, threatens your security and the security of all peoples of the region, obstructs any chances of any new peace agreements, and even aborts existing peace agreements with the countries of the region. The consequences will then be dire, with the region returning to the atmosphere of conflict and the loss of historic peace-building efforts and gains made through it, a price that we will all pay without exception. We are facing a pivotal moment that requires our unity to be a key fulcrum to deal with the challenges facing our region in a way that ensures that we do not slide into further chaos and conflicts and prevent the imposition of regional arrangements that contradict our interests and common vision. And then Mr. Anthony says, oh, I'm sorry, not Anthony, Aronson says Sisi is not waiting for the Arabs and the Islamic nations. He's taking concrete, ominous military measures at the point of potential armed conflict. The Philadelphia line separating Egypt from Gaza and in Sinai generally to deter Israeli moves to displace Palestinians across the frontier. Since October 2023, Egypt has significantly increased its military presence in North Sinai, particularly along the border with Gaza. The Middle East Eye reported in August 2025 that Egypt has deployed approximately 40,000 soldiers to North Sinai, double the number permitted under the 1979 peace treaty with Israel, and far beyond the increases negotiated in the last 15 years. These Sinai deployments also include heavy weaponry and advanced Chinese-made HQ-9B air defense systems, similar to the Russians' S-400. The remilitarization of Sinai tests the relevance of treaty limitations at the heart of the Israel-Egypt peace agreement, including the U.S.-led MFO, based in Sharm el-Sheikh, established to monitor compliance with the treaty. And then there's more on this. The consequences of an Israeli decision to foment the mass exodus of Palestinians across the Philadelphia line into Egypt cannot be overstated. A Palestinian exodus into Egypt is indeed at the heart of Egyptian concerns about Israel's assault in Gaza. As early as November 2023, Sisi described such an exodus as a red line that will turn Sinai into a base of attacks against Israel. Such a calamity could well produce a 1948 moment, exposing the powerlessness of the Arabs in general in the face of Israeli military power and threatening the very survival of the Sisi regime itself. As a matter of self-preservation in the wake of the imposition of the old order, the Egyptian leader is warning Israel that war is an option. Doesn't have to happen this way. Trump wants to be the peace president. Tell Netanyahu to stop. But you know what? I agree with the people that say that the state of Israel, the prophecy is that it's going to be destroyed, that it's going to be destroyed. These are destructive people. You know, the idea here, and I'm going to set American Zionist, that somehow that this is the Israel told about in the New Testament. In the New Testament, of course, you get this heresy from the Scofield Bible. You should be devoid of that, seeing what they have done to the people of Gaza. That the United States is continuing this. This is why Charlie Kirk was talking to those young people, and they were saying, we don't want this. We don't want it. Is Trump going to allow the neocons, the World Economic Forum on China stockholders, and all the rest of the people in on the New World Order, because that's what this is, just an extension of it, to make a war in the Middle East, Charlie Kirk's legions of young men? Is Trump going to allow that to be turned into their Vietnam? Heaven forfend. That cannot, it must not happen. Digital media file. Let's move on, shall we? I said what I needed to say. You can hear it on tape. Get the podcast if you want to hear it again. Play digital media file number 6. I want to go back and talk about the FCC got it right. As I told Barry Weiss and these other hacks on Twitter, on X, let me tell you something, buddy. I've been at this for 34 years. I have a Class A FCC operator's license. I don't need it anymore, but I have it. I've been reading and even though I don't work on a terrestrial radio station any longer and haven't in decades, I'm still up on FCC rules. The FCC is kind of like the referees in football games. Everybody hates them, and everybody says, well, they got this call wrong, they got that call wrong, but you still defer to the refs. They are literally the referees. They're the guys in the white and black stripes. And as I have told you, when someone, there are people that are not in the chat room any longer because they hate me. Viscerally. To the gut, hate me. And one of the things that they hate me about is me telling them, doesn't matter, my vote doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. That kind of doomsday crap is what makes losers out of people. No one likes a schlep rock running around with a cloud over their head. And it does matter because at least one thing, I told you people this, so you can pat me on the back, send me a $100 donation right now as an apology, and I will forgive you. I already forgive you, but I'll forgive you again publicly. I told you it matters who gets to appoint the head of the FCC. You told me your vote didn't matter and nothing would change. And I said, well, I can tell you one thing right now that'll change. Who runs the FCC? And that matters. So play Brendan Carr. Please.
Look, again, broadcast TV is different. We're on a cable show right now. You don't have an FCC license. You don't have an obligation to serve the public interest. Podcasts don't either. Stand-up comedians, whether they're on lots of forms of communications, don't, and Kimmel is free to do that. But if you have a broadcast TV license, that means that you have something that very few people have, and you're excluding other people from having access to that valuable public resource, and it comes with an obligation to serve the public interest. And again, over the years, there's been a rule in place at the FCC that local TV stations get to preempt programming that they don't think meets the needs of their communities. But recently, these national programmers, ABC, Disney, Comcast, NBC, they've been exercising outsized control and power over those local TV stations, and there's been no pushback. And this is a very significant moment because local broadcasters are now pushing back on national programmers for the first time that I can think of in modern history. And that's one of the things we want at the FCC. We want to empower local broadcasters that have the public interest obligation to push back on national programmers so that people have more choice.
I don't need to say anything else. You can go back and get the tapes. Go get the tapes from this week. Go get tapes from a year ago. What I tell you about the FCC and what I tell you about what they were talking about just the other day. Jimmy Kimmel with this and that and the other. No, Jimmy Kimmel was gotten out by, and you want this, local stations. We want local broadcasting. We want it. We don't hate it. We want it.
It's not tape or a Post-it or a candy bar, but this new 3M
Is the freshest spin on true crime shows since dinosaurs were solving cold cases with fossil evidence. Yeah, it's that original, folks.
Mom's Murders and Mysteries. New episodes debut every Tuesday night, 6:30 East, 4 West, exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Live talk podcast radio, the way it should be.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Channel News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Friday, September 19th, 2025. This report is brought to you by Mike Church's Beast and Butt Rub, a rub that's won championships and will help make you a champ in your kitchen or backyard. Check out Mike's recipes and pick up a bottle or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow was up again 0.27% and the S&P 0.48%. NASDAQ climbed 0.94%. Today on National Day Calendar, it is National POWMIA Recognition Day. It's always the third Friday in September that we honor National POWMIA Recognition Day. Each year since 1989, a presidential proclamation brings the nation together to remember and honor the members of the armed forces who remain missing in action or are prisoners of war. We are responsible for bringing our patriots home and for caring for our military families awaiting word of their loved ones. Today is Talk Like a Pirate Day, our Love Your School Lunch Day, and it's Butterscotch Pudding Day, which actually sounds really good right now. Our quote of the day: "He alone loves the Creator perfectly, who manifests a pure love for his neighbor, Saint Bede the Venerable." And our saint of the day, Saint Januarius. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
This is a pixel. I'm Groot. Now, if you put a couple of million of these guys together, you can make a sentence on an LED screen. Put a couple of billion of them together, and you can make a whole page. Put 360 billion of them, and you got Chesterton's book, Orthodoxy. But it doesn't smell like a book, and it burns teeny little holes in your cornea. So is the pixel really your friend? I'm Groot. No, but the Founders Trading Post is your friend, and we have actual books with actual smelly pages. Plus, our little bookstore has everything you'd expect. I'm Groot. Yes, Groot to the gourmet coffee, but no to the One Tree Hill sappy guitar music.
Pick up a copy of G.K. Chesterton's Orthodoxy, plus many other Chesterton titles at shop.mikechurch.com.
This is Capcom. We are ready to go for launch at the Crusade Channel launch site.
New show lineup.
Go.
Broadcasting live on X, YouTube, and Rumble.
We'll go fly.
Breaking news updates.
Go.
The Mike Church Show Band.
We'll go.
We're go for launch for the Crusade Channel 4.0 mothership.
2, 1. Lift off.
On August 4th, the Crusade Channel will launch Crusade Channel 4.0, the mothership. And you'll see why everyone else is lost in space.
3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk, I'm a woman's man. No time to talk. Music loud, women warm, I've been kicked around since I was born. I never tolerate, I'm okay, and you may look the other way, but we can try to understand. The New York Times don't make no man. Whether you're a brother or whether you're a mother, you're staying alive, staying alive. Feel the city breaking and everybody shaking, and we're staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive. When you walk, when you're rocking
Staying alive in too much heaven, no jive talking spoken here. You know, I haven't done it in so long, people will freak out, but just one little blip of because I haven't heard it. Just small medley, small. And I'm just going to dedicate this to people like Tar Heel Militia because I know he despises it. Bro is punching cactuses right now. You know, I could just carry on and do a super medley and not stop it until somebody put first donation for next week's crowdfunding in the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. Well, Tar Heel Militia is out punching cactuses and... Turn it off, Chickadee! We should have more fun. Don't you think? Maggie says, I don't consider the Bee Gees fun. You used to.
That's before you played it.
Yeah, well, I haven't played it in, 4 years? I do not.
All the time.
You're wrong, Colonel Sanders. If there wasn't a desk between us, I would totally water boy tackle you. You're wrong, Colonel Sanders. All right, crusadechannel.com/donate for make your donation. So, just as a reminder, so we're traveling Monday, resting Tuesday. We shipped everything needed to do live broadcast. I'm assuming it's all going to get there and work. If it does, then we'll do live Wednesday morning, live Thursday morning, and then best of Friday, worst of, depending on whose side you're on, best of the following Monday, and then we should be back on Tuesday. Let me, though, tell you, Monday's BO, that's business code for best of, Monday's BO is a Monday show. So see if you can guess in the last 5 years what Monday I might have picked as one of the best ones in the last 5 years. That will be in a museum Sunday, and you'll hit the red button and go, to hear what radio talk said on this day, hit the red button, and my voice will come out. Tuesday is a history-making show, best of. And yes, it was recorded on a Tuesday. See if you can guess. And it has never been rebroadcast. It was a one and done. Friday, well, you'll recognize Friday, so I'm not going to make a big deal about Friday. The following Monday, broadcast once, history making, red button in a museum, get my voice out. So great best ofs. And if you weren't there on those days, you never heard this before. And it's kind of a window into history as it's being made. So that is your best of schedule. We will have a fundraising goal for next week. And I'm just going to, we'll have 2 days to harp the point live. But every week is important. And thanks for helping us make last week. Now we have to work on this week or next week as well. crusadechannel.com/donate. Trump said something about bouncing around on this. Play number 5. And then we're going to talk about arrests. Get your frog meme with the watch It's 9 o'clock and no one's only been arrested. So we can nuke the meme. Here's Trump. He's asked about Luigi Mangione. And this is what he tells Martha McCallum.
Think about Mangione. He shot someone in the back. As clear as you're looking at me or I'm looking at you, he looked like a pure assassin. I was surprised, actually. You know, you would have thought this guy would have been at a central casting in the movie, and maybe he was. But he think of what he did. He openly, it's not like, gee, there's a question. If there's a question, you can understand it, maybe. But there's not a question. He walked up to a man, didn't give him warning, didn't say turn around, didn't do like the Old West where you have a gunfight, you know, you each have a gun. He shot him right in the middle of the back, instantly dead. And now he's like, I'm watching, the girls are going crazy for him. This is a sickness. This is, you know, this really has to be studied and investigated. It's not possible.
He walked up to this guy like he was an assassin, put 2 bullets square in the back of his head. I like how he says, this wasn't like it was like the Old West, like, hey, you turn around, and they had like, you know, they shot it out at a gunfight. He's right about this. This is the epitome of cowardice. And they have these punks out there that are wearing Luigi T-shirts and baseball caps. I saw an interview. I'm not going to broadcast it. I refuse. I won't do it. I will quit. Some of you apparently want us to quit. No, Robin Weiss. There it is, $100. Woohoo, my girl. If Robin Weiss is back, we may be onto something here. Because she comes back and pops in from time to time when the station is growing and becoming popular again and people like us. Which, thanks to me, doesn't happen very often. I'm trying. I'm not going to. I'm not even going to broadcast the it's lunacy. It's silliness. But there is something that is a disconnect out there with these lefties, folks. This is not a disagreement over policy. I'm telling you, this is a disagreement over who runs the world, God or Satan. Mm-hmm. Now, I agree with all of you that say that, how do you sit down and negotiate a treaty? Well, you don't. You either convert, and if you don't, then you need to go live somewhere else. You know, in Christendom, much is made of this thing, this epoch in time called the Inquisition. This evil Spanish Catholic, this and that and the other, and the holy and sacred Jews were so viciously kicked out of Spain. Not true. That is not true. That is English propaganda by then nascent Protestants that wrote all of that. What actually happened, and by the way, the man that we today call St. Ignatius of Loyola was tried for heresy in the Inquisition. He was tried, were his spiritual rules, was he teaching heresy? He was acquitted, of course. Well, what actually happened was Isabella and Ferdinand saying, we don't want the usurers in our country anymore. Usury is a sin. We don't want it. And if you are still dedicated to it, fine. You can still be a usurer. You just can't be one in Spain. And so they found you. They found you guilty of usury. They would ask you. And say, okay, well, that's a heresy. Please leave. Look, free passage. No one's going to stop you. Please move to Portugal or wherever. That's what actually happened. So Ferdinand and Isabella tried then to rid their country of people who prayed to a not God, not our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And Spain at one time was a very holy and Catholic and wealthy and peaceful place. Didn't last long because they turned against the faith. In any event, okay, more sound bites. Play digital media file number 8. Please. I want this. Was there actually a cat fight between Jasmine Crockett and Marjorie Taylor Greene again?
It wasn't, no.
It wasn't big, blonde, butch, bull.
No.
Okay.
The good one is
Number what?
number 10. Rashid Tlaib. She goes back.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this. Okay, well, listen, I want people to. This is dedicated now, a long distance dedicated. I just want the first minute of the indictment. And now, a long distance dedication. Casey, I haven't seen an arrest in the Trump administration since they began in January the 20th. Would you please play for me Matthew Galletti, DOG Criminal Division Head, who arrested 324 people yesterday?
Today, as we announced the largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in the history of the Department of Justice. Today marks a decisive moment in our fight to protect American taxpayers from fraudsters and to defend the integrity of America's healthcare system. We are announcing today charges against 324 defendants for their alleged participation in healthcare fraud schemes involving approximately $14.6 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs. In a takedown this large, I can't possibly describe all of the work that went into dismantling each scheme, but there are 4 key points that bear emphasizing.
Okay, so
first,
324 arrests. That should hold you all off for almost a year. No, I know. You got to lead off. Schiff has got to be, and I look, I want Schiff to be handcuffed. I absolutely want Blumenthal and all of them in leg irons. All right. There were cat fight fireworks in Congress yesterday. 3 reasons why the 19th Amendment needs to be repealed. Maybe 4. One is Jasmine Crockett versus Marjorie Taylor Greene. And in this corner, Jasmine Crockett. What are you signaling me?
I said, you want to play number 10?
Okay, number 10. Maggie says I want to hear 10. I don't want to hear 9. Okay, let's hear it.
We can't be passive right now. So nobody over there should take anything we say like so personally as if we're attacking them. No, we're attacking a process, not attacking people here. And I think it's really important we need to stand up against this fascist takeover. That's not a bad word. It's a fact. And here in D.C. and across the country, it is so incredibly important, Mr. Chair, that this committee does not allow rhetoric that defames and or paints Washington, D.C. in a way that you all haven't really truly seen. You're just reading it. No, you're just reading it or something off of some.
Will the gentlelady yield to a question?
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Will the gentlelady yield?
No, I don't yield. I don't even have time. I can tell you.
Your time's expired.
It is expired, but Mr. Chair.
Some.
But you all live
like
here, and you're not telling people the beautiful parts that you do see in our nation's capital. And no, it's just wrong how we're doing it.
Chairman, I think it's insane that the gentlelady doesn't have an argument, but she's going to refer to me and some of my colleagues. We were from the Third Reich. This is insane.
You're going to look at 14, 15-year-olds as a bunch of criminals?
It's insane. Do I look like a member of the Third Reich to you, Miss Tlaib? Is that what I look like to you?
You're the one taking your voting card.
Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Is that what you think?
No, that's unethical.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say. But to say something like that to myself and a lot of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line. Regular order. It's way out of line. Regular order. That's okay. But it's okay, right?
That is not how it goes.
It's okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
Hold myself accountable. Hold your own self accountable. How about that? Hold your own self accountable. How about that?
Free DC and make sure you vote with your own voting card. Don't be giving it to somebody else.
expel these bitches. Almost said it. Almost said it.
That's why women shouldn't be in Congress.
You saying I did say it, or I should have said it?
Oh, no, you shouldn't have said it.
Expel these bitches from Congress. She said a black man was basically moonlighting as Goebbels, as an SS Nazi officer, and was in search of innocent Muslims and trannies or whoever else to go all fascist and stuff and arrest. You know, the Democrat Party, again, is not going to survive the year. I've been predicting it. It's over. This is your one of your standard bearers here. She's a member of the squad. There's an editorial today at... Hang on. This is Keith Norton. Opinion. Democrats, enough with the fascism propaganda about Trump. We're finished with it. Their rhetoric about Nazis, about Hitler, about all of us being Goebbels, about fascist, it hasn't gone down since Charlie's murder. It's increased. They think it's a winning hand. They think the American public is going to go, yeah, down with fascists. Then you have Ilhan Omar. Trump's asked about her yesterday, and he goes, I don't know. She's from Somalia, right? Let me ask you something. Whoever said it, he goes, well, let me ask you something. Tell me about Somalia. Is it prosperous? Is it a good country? And he goes, no. He goes, okay. Do they have representation? Do they have representation? And he goes, no. Maybe it was a she. And he goes, okay. Do they have a president? Do they have a president? And the guy goes, no. And he goes, okay. What do they have? What do they have? Tell me what they have in Somalia. She comes from Somalia, right? And he goes, well, they basically have anarchy on the streets and warlords running things. And he goes, and she comes from that. She wants to come here and tell us how bad our country is. I think that Johnson should I think he should censure her. I think she should be censured. Maggie, it's what you said when you heard it. You go like, that's it. Johnson's got to do it now. I don't think so.
He's not going to.
Until the American public gets serious about this and serious about Muslims. KingDude, you can't try that. Well, then don't announce that you're a Muslim. Just keep it to yourself. If you're going to go all Muslim-y and stuff, then keep it to yourself. Because anytime someone goes all Christian-y and stuff, they're told, don't you bring your religion into my government. Okay. Well, yeah, they have a new demonstration outside an ICE facility in Chicago. They're pleading for this. Who is it that is doing everything they can to stop America from becoming great again? Or hell, even mediocre again? Magdalene Rose? Who's standing in the way of all progress everywhere?
Democrats, but I will tell you, in the last few days, I found that it seems to be the original proponents of the so-called squad. And what's interesting to me is that AOC is trying to distance herself a little bit because there's been reporting that they want her to run in 2028.
They want her to run where? For president?
For president. I double-checked. Just to make sure I didn't read it wrong, but they want her to run for president.
Well, again, I don't think there's going to be a Democrat Party for her to run on. Kamala Harris did a pretty good job from 45,000 feet with a stealth bomber of dropping nukes, nuclear ordnance, on the smoldering remains of the Democrat Party, throwing Biden under the bus, throwing the party under the bus, saying that she didn't want Tampon Tim, that she didn't like him, she didn't think that he was a good running mate, she wanted the Babadook, she wanted Petey, and then I don't know who writes these press releases. These people are stupid. And then saying in the book, but America couldn't handle a black woman and a gay guy at the same time. So then, in your own party is now filled with racist, bigot, homophobe hayseeds?
Well, I think it's interesting because Pete Buttigieg was asked in response to that. And he went on that long diatribe he always does about how America's better than all this now. But you could tell he wasn't surprised by the question. So I think that there was a lot of discussion behind the scenes about the two best candidates for VP were him and Josh Shapiro. They, unfortunately for them, were gay and a Jew at this time in history. So they had to go with Tim Walz, who I think has become one of the biggest political liabilities for a political party since, we had McCain. I mean, just the lack of energy, the weirdness, it all fits into that.
By the way, this guy that writes this piece at Yahoo does a signal service to the world. He says, okay, can we get the definition out of the dictionary for what fascism is? And so he gets it. Here it is. Fascism involves the centralization of government authority in the executive with no checks and no balances. Fascist governments seek to create centrally planned command economies, subordinate private capital to the government. Racism and nativism are central tenets. All these counts, he says, Trump comes up short. Now, he does write a lot of executive orders, but then again, the executive orders are primarily aimed at laws that he is supposed to execute. As a matter of fact, almost all of them, if not all of them, are aimed at laws that he is supposed to, as his term says, the executive branch, that he is supposed to execute. He doesn't say that this statute in the state of California is hereby null and void. Instead, he says that this statute, that California, which ratified the Constitution, agreed to be bound by, this federal statute, that California must abide by the statute. That's a far cry from centralizing authority and telling the states that you can't have this or you can't have that, isn't it?
Well, it is a very far cry, and I think that one of the things that people don't particularly like is the level of state intervention. That's always been the case. So it is a far cry. And I will also say this about California in general. I do a lot of conversations with low-level, California people who are in politics who are trying to get up there. And the complaint that I've heard continuously is that the California GOP is in shambles, and that with Kevin McCarthy ousted, there's not even a leadership pipeline anymore.
So if you're looking for, now you said California GOP.
Yes.
So there is no opposition to anything that the Democrats are doing. So it's a one-party rule state. That sounds to me like fascism.
Well, it is. And I think that one of the other issues is that with California, Kevin McCarthy was acting also as a talent scout for young Republicans. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the ones that would end up in the State House and things like that, they had something to do with him. In a way, Kevin McCarthy was like the California version of Charlie Kirk. With him gone, there's a massive power vacuum, and a lot of people feel like California is really doomed to fail because of that.
Well, it is doomed to fail. Yeah. California cannot survive, economically speaking, what the Democrat Party is doing to it. And you know how we know that? Because a couple of million people have said, I'm going to get out before you take me down with you. Now, there is a possibility that there could be a revolt at some point in time. I think that the leftards, as always, they've overplayed their hand. They are vastly outnumbered, but they control everything. It is literally every major city is run by a communist Democrat. The legislature, the speaker is a communist Democrat. The Senate majority leader is a communist Democrat. The governor is obviously a top-down bully communist Democrat. So what are you going to get if government is swallowing up and controlling large parts of the what remains of the private sector in the state of California? Well, you have a recipe for failure. You might note, no government Not one. There's not a single. Somebody's going to say, oh, the exception to the rule is Cuba. No, Cuba's had quiet revolutions you just don't know about. There's not a single solitary unitary form of top-down, God-hating or God-denying communist government that has survived the 20th century. None of them. Their track record is this.
0.0.
California is not going to be an exception. It is going to abide by the rule. The only thing that can save it, actually, ironically, the only thing that can save it is Trump. Trump's the only thing that could save New York. It's the only thing that can save Illinois, where there's still a mass exodus. Just common sense. Look at the state of Tennessee. Look at what Tennessee is doing and contrast that with Illinois, New York, and California. Tennessee's governor, the mayor of Memphis, the murder capital of the South, and one of their senators, Marsha Blackburn, went to the White House the other day and said, President Trump, will you create a federal task force to address crime issues here that the Memphis Police Department is having a hard time getting a handle on? And Trump said yes. He signed an executive order creating the Memphis, I think it's called the Memphis Safety Task Force. People are like, they're dispatching, the Trump is invading Memphis. He was pleaded with, please invade Memphis. So one just difference between California, Illinois, and Tennessee. Tennessee is saying, we want the help. We want our state to get better. Illinois is saying no, like Rob Schneider and the Water Boy. Oh, no, we suck again. Illinois, California, and New York want to continue sucking.
Well, they do, and I think also Democrat mayors know that they need Trump's help. And Democrat mayors are playing this interesting game where they're like, no, I don't want it. And then they do nothing to deny it. And then they praise him after the fact. So I think for Democrat mayors, they realize that the National Party is in shambles, that they're focusing much more on Jimmy Kimmel and ridiculous issues. So if Trump goes in and liberates the city from massive amounts of crime, they then say things like the D.C. mayor said, where she praised what had happened. And that's sort of the fallout here. You might see protesting, but at the end of the day, Americans know that if you protest to stop the National Guard from going into a city, all you're doing is protesting to protect rampant crime and unease. And that is a twisted thing for the American people to believe you care that much about.
Well, you have people that are now being interviewed that are Democrats, or they were Democrats, that are saying, I've watched nothing but Democrat equivocation since Charlie was murdered. All of this, I said this earlier, the great irony or the great surprise out of all this is really the only Democrat that I have seen that has made a really, I think, believable plea for peace and said nothing that I thought was untoward is Bernie Sanders, of all people. Well, Bernie Sanders, I didn't like him. I didn't agree. I didn't like him, but I believe that he had the right to say what he was saying, and the people that followed him had a right, an expectation of civil discourse in our society. The Democrats are out there, and they actually think that somehow they're going to win. Dale Carnegie wrote a book in 1936, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I have a copy of the book. Everybody should read that book. They actually think they're going to win friends and influence people by saying that Charlie Kirk got what he deserved, that we're the ones that are out of control, we're the ones that asked for this, we're the ones that are fascists, we're the ones that are Nazis, we're the ones that are haters, and expect more of it to come. I don't think the American public, most of them, are going to trudge off the polls next year or this year or any year and are going to vote for people who are basically promising to kill civilians in the street if they disagree with them.
Well, and that's a very twisted thing, because one of the things that I've seen reported continuously is that Democrats are very concerned within their polling that they have not only lost on the crime and law and order issue, which they're always down in, but they're losing by high double digits in that. And if you look at, for example, the Sun Belt, where Republicans are able to run solely on a law and order anti-crime message, we have continuous success, really starting with the governor of Nevada, who's a former sheriff, who came in and lost and won on a year where Republicans didn't win across the board. So that kind of messaging, where it's about law and order in areas that really have anarchy, whether it's in the Sun Belt or like border states, if Republicans just run on that in those areas, they can win. In the more Midwest areas, if they run on stopping fentanyl and a good economy, they can win. And on the sort of East Coast pop-up red areas within the blue, if they run on stopping fentanyl, improving schools, a plethora of issues, they can win. Democrats can't win in any of those spots with any of their big issues. That's a recipe for disaster.
Well, their big issue is violence.
Yeah.
I mean, look, do you really think, does anyone really think, and I have to wonder what game they're playing here, does anyone really think that trying to convince the American public that we are the Weimar Republic in its 1936, that's a winning strategy? I think that's just stupid. People don't vote about the past. They don't vote for revenge. Elections are about the future. And so, look, this is right out of Reagan's handbook. Elections are about, Tip O'Neill would say it. Elections are about the future. They want to cast this as this, again, this is 1936, and the good guys are the people that are going to protect the Jews and the homos and everyone else, and the bad guys are the Hitlerian fascists that are going to just start rounding people up and killing them. Well, the only people that are dying are Republicans. I mean, it's so convoluted, just like strain credulity. Like it's almost, it's difficult to believe that these people actually expect to be taken seriously. I think that's what explains Greg Gutfeld losing it on Jessica Tarloff the other day, because he's like, you know what? I know they pay you to be the dumb bimbo leftard, but I'm sorry. I know you personally, and you're a better person than that, and I'm not going to sit here and take it. Is my instinct on what Gutfeld was really that's what he meant? You know Jessica Tarloff, and you know that ilk.
Yeah.
Is that what he was really saying?
I mean, I think so. That clip was so great because Gutfeld has an ability to be angry but also not lose his train of thought. And when he talks about, for example, like the cognitive dissonance that Democrats have to live in, like constantly, just to exist, and he said to her very clearly, you are trying to create reasoning for things that you don't even accept happened because you're that messed up. And I think for Democrats, they literally have spent 10 years terrorizing everybody. And I hear about cancel culture. They're upset that they're being canceled. They're not being canceled. We're trying to save ourselves from them being hurtful or trying to kill us. And that's the difference here. They were canceling people over liking a tweet or going to a Trump rally, things that don't directly impact them, that have no implication in their lives. We're trying to stop nurses on a pediatric wing who are praising that Charlie Kirk is shot, potentially treating the children of conservatives or Christians. That's the difference here. And for conservatives who don't like the fact that we're getting people fired, what's the alternative? That we let the pilot who says that it was okay that this happened, that he understands why, then fly a family that could have young kids, or fly Stephen Miller or anybody? Because what those conservatives who are against all this are really advocating is that they're advocating that we play Russian roulette with our lives out of a principle of everyone being able to do whatever they want. This isn't a libertarian society. We don't have to do that. And for liberals who are trying to make Jimmy Kimmel like their martyr, first of all, he's not a sympathetic figure.
No.
But second of all, he's not somebody who has ever had to be held accountable for anything. He escaped cancel culture. He escaped the Me Too movement when there are many sketches he could have been fired over, much more so than what Al Franken was fired over from the Senate. So for Jimmy Kimmel's supporters, understand that we just don't care about his suffering because it's very small and it's very elitist.
Well, let me just say something to the, because I'm watching it right now on Fox. AOC team weighs 2028 White House bid or Senate run. Dude, you're manufacturing news now. You're so desperate. They're manufacturing news. I will credit the CIA plant that is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because that's what she is. She is CIA. I will credit the CIA plant for getting the intel from the CIA and going, change the subject or die. You're not going to have a party platform to run on in 2028. Change the subject, literally, or die, which is, to their credit, what they're trying to do. They're saying to the other ones, shut up. Shut up with the fascism. You may have noticed this isn't selling very well. Here, let's talk about fascists for a moment and about people that are actually fascists. As Magdalene just said, and I think that's one of the most profound things that you have said on this on this program, or that anyone has said, that organized Republicans, some of them, are saying to the MAGA faithful and the rank and file out here, no, it's okay. We want you to play Russian roulette with your life. We trust that there's only a few more of them that are going to blow you up in a plane, shoot you in a stadium, knife you on a train, whatever the cause of death may be. But it's okay because, we have to have both sides. I don't want your two-side narrative, Mike. I don't need another side to argue with. As I said, Jesus Christ won the argument at 3:15 p.m., 25 March 33 A.D. He won the argument. Game over, man. Game over, right? The game over. That's what we should say.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What are we going to do now? What are we going to do?
We have a bunch of people that are running around these United States that are paid by someone, and they're going to find out who are raping, robbing, murdering, and pillaging, and they get away with it. Play Digital Media found number 15, Maggie, just the first part of it. So here is what is actually happening. And by the way, Kamala Harris dropping those stealth bombs from 45,000 feet on the party. Does she think that the Democrat Party is toast? Because she sure as hell didn't leave any room and any wiggle room for any of its leaders to squirm out of the deceitful web that she wove. We'll answer that in a minute. I want you to hear this first. I want everyone to hear this.
To find out the source of this?
Well, you're going to have to infiltrate Antifa, so you're going to have some sort of transgender FBI agent go undercover for a while. I don't know if they have that at the Bureau. It's a great movie. But they could try it. They've been causing violence and mayhem for a long time, and everyone's treated them like a little nuisance, but they have to be treated seriously. They shot and killed someone out west. They shot a cop. They've punched people in the throats. They've fired commercial-grade fireworks in the faces of federal law enforcement. They laid siege to a federal courthouse. They occupy courthouses. They bomb cop cars. They bomb Teslas. They're not very nice people. It's not like they're doing this for health care reform. They want to overthrow the federal government. That's an anarchist. And anarchists in our history, they've assassinated presidents. They firebombed the townhouses of attorney generals. You got to take these guys seriously. Joe Biden took the threat of white supremacists, domestic terrorists seriously and investigated them. Surely we can investigate the domestic terror threat from Antifa because the money is suspicious. Where do they get the body armor? Why do they always have the best equipment and technology? Why do they look all tacked out constantly? And then when they get arrested, they have bail money and the best lawyers, so they never, ever face any charges. Who's paying the lawyers? That's what I want to know.
Great points, Magdalene.
Yeah, they are great points. And they were responsible for a lot of the burning down of the Minneapolis police station during George Floyd. That was something that their black members did and claimed responsibility for. And the thing is, I think the right has mocked people too much. I think the right looks at these groups and sees like someone with blue hair or a nose ring, and you dismiss them, and you think that it's silly, or you think like stupid child or whatever. And the reality is, these are dangerous people. Someone can look ridiculous and be a completely dangerous individual. That happens all the time. And young conservatives in 2018, when this really started to grow, because Antifa really developed after the first year of the Trump administration. So in 2018, when Antifa was really out there causing anarchy and havoc, Republicans would sort of treat Antifa like just a funny thing or like a bad thing that they disavowed. There was a real lack of understanding of the danger. And Andy Ngo was one of the people who would infiltrate before they knew his face, of course, and then he would be beaten and all of these things. Laura Loomer went through this with Antifa. The sort of independent journalists who would embed themselves in these groups said for many years, you don't understand, this is a militarized group. These are people who could become domestic terrorists if they're not already. So the sort of grooming of Tyler Robinson, the alleged assassin of Kirk, the pipeline doesn't surprise me, and this is why I mentioned the pipeline last week. We're finding out that he went from being a conservative Christian with very involved parents, a completely involved community, to then being on Discord, to then watching inappropriate things, and then talking to Antifa members. This is the natural pipeline of indoctrination. And until we start to exercise federal government power, like seeing what we can do with Discord, or saying to people, you can't have Antifa meeting groups on Reddit, until that happens, we will continue to see these types of people be groomed.
Well, that's because we've had 100 years of this nonsense about free speech. I have my right to free speech. You do not have the right to say whatever you want, whenever you want, and wherever you want. Now, if you think that you have the right to say it, well, then that right is concomitant with responsibility. If you got a right, then you have a duty and a responsibility. And as I have been saying, what Brendan Carr has suggested with the Kimmel situation, and then kind of gently warned other broadcasters, hey, pal, you have a FCC broadcast license. You better exercise it judiciously. That is what the FCC law says. There's not a single one of those television stations. And look, Sinclair Broadcasting, let's just talk apples and apples here for just a moment. Sinclair Broadcasting, Maggie, can you look up how many TV stations Sinclair owns? I want to say it's like 48. Sinclair Broadcasting went in after the Telecommunications Act of 1994 ruined everything, went in.
They own approximately 185 television stations.
185 television stations now.
85 U.S. markets.
Okay, that's an abomination. They went into so they went into the top 200 markets then, and they went in and they bought those TV stations from local, probably mom and pop operations, and kids that didn't want to run TV stations or whatever anymore. And so they bought all these properties up, and then they started basically the Sinclair News Network. Every one of those properties that they bought, when they went to act a sale, there was a representative from the Federal Communications that was there. There was an FCC commissioner appointed representative that was there. At the time that they did act of sale, the public service record, the commitment to the public, the commitment to local, that you will serve your community, all of that, they, under penalty of perjury, Magdalene, they signed the documents and agreed. This nonsense that Brendan Carr is just making this stuff up, and he's doing it because Trump told him to. This has to be just some of the sloppiest and worst reporting I've ever seen. Look the damn law up. It's not even hard to find. So, at the end of the day, all the Trump administration is asking the FCC, which it now runs to do, is enforce the laws that are on the books. Make them responsible for what they broadcast. And if it's lying garbage trash, and it can incite the public to do to violence or lead people into thinking that violent things that could impact the way that they think or they act towards something that are not true, then you must enforce the compact. They signed it. People are acting as though these television stations somehow have this right to broadcast whatever the hell they want. If they did, they'd be running porn.
Yeah. Well, that's an important point. Nobody has any idea about that. And, like, the gap in understanding the system of broadcasting is so massive. And we talk about Brendan Carr. I remember when Brendan Carr was elected, and he did a little interview with Bret Baier, and I thought to myself, oh, he's going to destroy the left, because he had that same quiet deadliness that Stephen Miller did. I personally think Brendan Carr and Stephen Miller are the two most effective people we have in Washington outside of Trump and Rubio. I think that they go to work and they eviscerate the left on the levels that we don't typically think to do. So when Brendan Carr first went after The View, I remember that the network there saying, you know, like, this is like a different level of involvement from the FCC. We didn't think we'd have this kind of involvement. And he said, you allow people to get on network television and say lies and horrible things that can turn into threatening actions. And so Brendan Carr now involving himself in this, it doesn't surprise me. And Bill O'Reilly actually made a comment, I don't know if it was last night or today, where he said about a year ago he tried to talk to Jimmy Kimmel because he could see this coming. And he wanted to advise him, like, not to go down this rabbit hole of hatred. Jimmy Kimmel never called him back. And it seems there are a lot of people who are now sort of coming out of the woodwork saying, you know, we tried to tell Jimmy Kimmel this is a bad idea, that, like, maybe take a leaf out of a different playbook, don't go so nasty. And the reporting is that Kimmel had become quite radicalized in the last year. So even people who are existing leftists can become more radicalized. And that's something we saw, I forget her name, but with Kathy Griffin, she became more radicalized. So the people in Hollywood who are already operating as like high-level leftists, Trump pushes them to a new level, and then they lose their careers.
Well, let me tell you something about Bill O'Reilly.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
You know, O'Reilly is still asked about that clip, and every time he does, he's asked about it, he turns red, and then he goes, yeah, I said it. And he goes, ironically, it's the most famous thing I ever did. He wrote all these books, about the founding fathers and the war on Christmas and everything. And no one remembers that. Instead, they remember him when he was on Entertainment Tonight. And he lost it at the end when he was asked to do a closer about, I think it was Sting, wasn't it? Yeah, because you can listen to it, because it's 40 some odd seconds long. If you listen to the whole thing, don't forget you got Sting coming up tomorrow night. Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And tomorrow night on Entertainment Tonight, we in a book with Sting, and I can't do it. And that's how the whole thing. Let me tell you something about Bill O'Reilly and my buddy in St. Louis, Zip. These are men that came up in television in a different era, Magdalene. They came up in an era where everyone knew the FCC rules. They all knew the game. And there's something to be said about having a line in the sand, an imaginary line, and, okay, well, that's the line. Now, you're like when I was working in terrestrial radio, the people that would hire me to get radios would say, Mike, you can walk up to this line right here. When you get to the line, stop. You can't go over the line. As long as you don't go over the line, as long as you don't go Walter Sobchak over the line, you're fine. O'Reilly was one of those guys that learned the art of walking up to the line. And that's how he advanced. He walked up to the line, he pushed it, and people noticed. But he rarely, I don't think he ever crossed the line. They knew, my point is they knew where the line was. Brendan Carr, but remember, he's acting as Trump's FCC director. Brendan Carr is simply saying to all of these television stations, you better learn where that line is. And if you got somebody on your air that's walking up to it and crossing it, you got a problem. And you know what? The left has been running media, has run radio and television into the pinko commie ground since the 1970s. This is long overdue. This is a long overdue correction. And as a veteran radio broadcaster, used to have a FCC Class A operator's license, I am telling you, I am absolutely overjoyed and ecstatic about this. It's long overdue, and I hope there are 100 Sinclair stations that have to take shows off or have to remove people to go like, no, we can't broadcast this. Because you know what? It's going to go back up the ladder. It'll go back up. The people that create the content will go like, nope, can't make that. We're not going to greenlight that anymore. If you're going to greenlight that, it now has to go on Netflix. It can't go on broadcast TV. That's a win for the public.
Well, it definitely is. And like what you mentioned is very true. The left has decided what was acceptable, what wasn't, for so long that they're really shocked that the American people are now deciding that. This hasn't all happened because Republicans suddenly became more powerful and charismatic. This has happened because, for example, like influencers who have never posted anything political, who post cooking show reels, are posting memorial messages for Charlie Kirk. Like the dam has been broken in separating politics and from people's lives who don't normally talk about it. And that's why the left is so uncomfortable. And this Jimmy Kimmel thing has made them look like really stupid people. It's humiliating because you can see that they're trying desperately to turn him into a martyr. A martyr for what? Not being able to peddle lies on network television while making millions of dollars and getting invited to the Emmys? Like, is that your martyr? our martyr was killed for faith and for talking about family and his country. Your martyr is somebody who wore blackface in different comedy skits and lied to the public. That's the difference here. And I don't understand on a democratic comms level on anything how you decide that you're gonna market yourselves as under siege because Jimmy Kimmel was suspended for saying things that were patently untrue.
There's another part to this with Magdalene Rose, our political affairs contributor, and you just kind of touched on it, and that's this. Their martyrs, as you call them, their stars, people. Look at David Muir. Trump took him out by just telling the truth about him. Look at the winches on The View, completely and totally defanged because they lied about Trump. Look at, you mentioned Kathy Griffin. Gone. Not faded, gone. Holding the head of the severed head of Trump up. President Trump, as I told Maggie earlier today, Magdalene, are you familiar with the Savannah Bananas?
No.
It's a baseball team that's basically the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. They are making a big splash now. People are finding out about them. It's just fun, old-fashioned family entertainment with baseball players acting like they're Harlem Globetrotters with baseballs. And as I said, as I'm watching Steve Doocy do the highlight reel, and I'm laughing, I'm going like, see? Producer/wife, Trump makes everything better. The Savannah Bananas are on the rise. Public acts and displays of obscenity are on the wane. Back to the hero narrative. What's really angering the leftards who hate life and who really just need to convert to the faith, and all will be well. They'll find some joy and happiness. They're not going to find it hanging out with Beelzebub, Bagul and the boys. But what really is angering them is that Charlie Kirk is now larger. He is literally Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is literally standing there with his lightsaber going, you can't win, left. If you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. He is literally now, figuratively speaking, he is Obi-Wan freaking Kenobi. He is bigger than he would ever have been in life. And you know what? The good people of Earth, they love Charlie. They're listening to Charlie's clips. You know, I have to tell you, I was not a Charlie fan, but I am now. You're a bandwagon jumper. No, he's a charming guy. And I know you had your run-in with him. But, you know, we watched yesterday a couple of videos, and I just thought they were so, so whimsical and silly. It was Erica and Charlie in Charlie's radio studio practicing for Erica being on the Charlie Kirk show. And then Charlie go, okay, we're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Hey, it's Charlie Kirk here with my better half and the more conservative member of the family, whatever he said, Erica. And he'd point to her and she'd go, am I supposed to say something? It was just funny to watch those two interact and just to watch, husband and wife kind of, they were practicing for the show. And so people are finding out that this guy that the left says deserved it, didn't deserve it. And in death, they're saying that, hey, I want to celebrate Charlie Kirk's life. And I want to have a beautiful wife and beautiful children or a beautiful, handsome husband and beautiful kids. This is what's really pissing them off.
Well, it is, and the thing is that Charlie Kirk. I mean, Charlie was a very tough person. The idea that he was just a commentator is ridiculous. He was, in a lot of ways, like an organizer. He was a creator within the conservative world. So they're looking at him now, I think, on a human level. And he was also not like he was public with his relationship, but it was never the focus. She never made it the focus. They don't show their kids' faces. So there was a lot of his sort of like human side people didn't see all the time unless they followed him closely. So I think seeing Erica, seeing him with the videos of his daughter running up to him, it messes with your mind because it makes you think, so this was also a person. And the leftists who are genuinely upset or at least understand that this is all bad, they are seeing somebody as a human being, not just as a political animal. And that's a very hard thing because they know that the people they support probably contributed to this with him, to him being targeted. So that's a very sad thing for them. And I think that the more that Turning Point can show that he was a human being, because also Charlie kept his family, meaning his mother and father, extremely private. They were never anywhere. There's no photos of them anywhere. So he did sometimes look like this sort of like political lone wolf until he got married. So seeing him in this light, it messes with your head if you support the hateful rhetoric, or you did support that was perpetrated against him, because now you're saying to yourself, so the people I support said he was a fascist, but here's this video of him buying his daughter a doll, or her running.
Oh, that video just melts.
Yeah, I know. Or him being head over heels in love with his fiancée at the time. It's very hard to hate someone when you're flooded with the images of them in their most human moments.
Well, Magdalene, one of the other things that I thought that Maggie has been just playing in the background, I keep hearing her going like, oh, that's so. Charlie is asked a question after he married Erica. Okay, which of you is the most conservative? Charlie goes, her.
Without hesitation.
I mean, literally jumped in front of the crowd, her. He goes, I'm a moderate. I am a moderate compared to her. And she's just sitting there, and she turns red. She's smiling from ear to ear. And what you're seeing now in the aftermath of this is you're seeing that there is another way. And the thing that is most, that ought to encourage everyone, young people. It's primarily young people. Yeah, the future, the ones that are going to have to run the nursing homes to take care of geezers like me. Young people are seeing the images of Kirk and his family, and they're just seeing that, okay, this was a family guy, literally a family guy. TP USA, the people that work for it, they say you could tell that, again, you could tell how good an organization is by the people. And I have been singing the praises of the TP USA. Well, that's all on Charlie. Well, most of it's on Charlie. Something he's not going to get credit for, and he should get credit for. And this is probably why President Trump is such a great admirer of him. Charlie was also a doer. He built from nothing, from a college dropout, a multi-billion-dollar operation spanning now, 38,000 chapters across the United States. A seat at the table. J.D. Vance said, no, there were times when the president would say, could get Charlie in here. I want to know what Charlie has to say about this. Talking about policy decisions here. That is an absolutely incredible legacy. And I don't think that, and I agree with Erica, she's going to keep it alive. Well, I think that there's ample material there to keep it alive. And there may not be one Charlie Kirks. You may have created 40,000 Charlie Kirks. You may have created Charlie Kirks in England and in Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have worldwide, especially in London, and London really needs a couple Charlie Kirks right now. So the impact here is massive. But it's also going to continue. See, Democrats have impact that lasts for a month or a year or whatever, and then it fades away. That doesn't happen for Republicans. Republicans get motivated, and they commit, and they're like, okay, we're all in, we're going to set it up, we're going to keep going. And the truth is, everyone knew Erica was much more conservative. Everybody knew that of the two of them, like, I would see posts that say, like, Charlie Kirk keeps his wife as a slave and all this mean stuff, and I was like, Erica Kirk is much more conservative. If anything, she's pulling him to the right, and everybody knows it. She spoke at the Young Women's Leadership Summit, I think right when they got married, and, like, her speech was dramatically more conservative than any of the other women there. And you could see, like, Charlie knew it. And so the idea that, like, there's going to be moderation. Why? Because she's a woman? There's going to be moderation at Turning Point? She's also a woman whose husband was assassinated because of leftist ideology. I can't think of a recipe for having more of a right-wing based leader than what she has gone through.
Magdalene, our girl in Mordor, Monica Page, is on with Bill Malugin right now, talking about Erica and Charlie. Let's listen in for just a second here.
High school chapters, but since the assassination, 62,000 requests for new chapters at both high schools and colleges, including more than 8,000 in the last 2 days alone. Monica, the interest is just exploding.
It's exploding, and it's absolutely overwhelming to see. And although we know that Charlie is completely irreplaceable, I'm still shocked that I'm sitting here talking about this right now. Charlie married somebody who is just as courageous, who is just as steadfast in her faith, and somebody who we have the utmost trust and faith that she will carry this mission tenfold. I mean, if you thought Turning Point was big, just wait, because I have so much positivity, I have so much hope that she's going to do right by Charlie. I mean, when we saw her just days after her husband's tragic death, I mean, I was in shock to see a woman with so much poise, so much strength, to stand up there behind that podium next to that empty chair. And I mean, it brought tears to my eyes that she really stood up there and said, I'm going to do this. Given the fact that she's a mother of 2 young children, on top of running Bible in 365, on top of running her streetwear clothing brand, she's going to take on this behemoth of a project, and we just cannot wait to be working with her.
And he's going to have his services in Arizona on.
And so I just wanted to hear what Monica had to say, because as you know, I've interviewed Monica, and we saw her at TPUSA, and she saw us and came running across the aisle and gave us a giant hug. And whenever we're covering the White House and we hear Monica, like, that's our girl, it's I'll send her a message like, dude, I just saw you. And she'll just send me a bunch of emojis back. You just heard. Now, I don't think that Monica is going to outdo what Charlie did. I think that Charlie is still working to help Erica do what Charlie was doing. Properly put.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true. And also, Tyler Bauer is the COO of Turning Point. He's been there for many, many years. So he ran a lot of day-to-day operations because he's not really like an on-camera guy. He does podcasting, but he was certainly not out there debating people. So having Tyler there as a COO helping to do the operations consistently, someone who already understands the framework, is extremely helpful. But, I mean, Erica's going to have to decide, like, how much of a figure she wants to be, because she could be one of the biggest figures in America, or she could be someone like that's sort of moderating her behind-the-scenes effort. But I think if she decides to be massive, she will be massive.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But and as I said yesterday, just a little-known fact that most people don't know, and Charlie knew this. At the end, Charlie knew. TPUSA is TPUSA was, and you're gonna find this news is gonna come out. So it doesn't. Me saying that because I swore to the person who told me I wouldn't say it. So I'm just gonna give you hints. TPUSA is fully funded through 2028. I can tell you that. And they're not going quietly into that night. If I was a Democrat, I'd just be going like right now. Why don't they pivot and try and out safety, out prosperity, out family values Republicans? That is the only logical play. It's the only play left on the board, Magdalene. That's the play. And there's not a Democrat alive who seems to want to take it.
Well, because they'd have to prune their party, and that's a tough thing. They'd have to kick people out, and they'd have to mandate certain policy beliefs in order to run. And that's something that people don't want to hear. I mean, you can't try to push family values and then with the same breath elevate AOC or try to push for Pete Buttigieg to be vice president. They'd have to really understand that they could lose the next 3 election cycles until it evens out. That's a cost that they have to pay. And what will also happen is then the Democratic Socialists of America Party in some form or another will rise. So you'll probably have 3 political parties. I don't see a situation really in which Republicans still don't win, though, because we don't have to do those things. Our party isn't divided. When that's the case, I think Republicans, if they don't mess it up, and they don't pick weak people as the top of the ticket, they could have power for generations.
And if you're looking in the chat room right now, crusadechannel.com/chat, you see that. You see me doing my Keanu Reeves hand? See my Keanu Reeves hand? It looks like it's on Monica's back, but it's not. So, you know, Keanu does that. He puts his hand behind him to make it look like he's got his arm around it, but he doesn't really. That's me. That's Maggie, the most important person. That's Maggie and Monica Pay. She's a little thing. She's tiny. She's tiny. She is a little tiny thing. But I tell you what, Trump knows who she is now. She gets up in that White House, in the Oval Office, and she asks questions. And she represents TPUSA. Her microphone has a TPUSA mic flag on it. I think we're gonna we'll wrap it up there. It's been a heck of a okay. So we went on air on Wednesday, September the 10th, at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:30 or so, after Charlie had been shot. We sprang into action, as we always do, and we stayed on until 4 some odd. Oh, it was almost 5, until we found the tragic news that Charlie had died. Then we covered some of the aftermath. And then, of course, on Thursday, the 11th, we're just trying to make sense of it all, as everyone else was. On Friday, the 12th, we went back and we waited. Magdalene, you were here. We waited for the press conference and the announcement of who they had captured as the perpetrator. We broadcast all that. We have been on the same story all week long. There will be a memorial service in the Arizona Cardinals Stadium Sunday for Charlie. Vance and Trump are both going to be there, and most of your cabinet secretaries and what have you, and people from TPUSA, I'm sure, and others. And then there's going to, the mourning of Charlie, okay? I mean, you'll never stop mourning and praying for the repose of his soul. But after Sunday, then they will move into, okay, well, we can't believe that we're here, but we are, so how are we going to go forward? And it will be, I think, very fascinating to watch how that plays out in real time. And, there is going to be a midterm coming up. And from where I sit, I'm not buying any poll or any pollster organization that says that the Democrats are up 10. That is just a flat-out lie. And I told Maggie when she showed me that poll yesterday, I said, those people better watch it. Because, Trump now owns that newspaper in Iowa. The Iowa newspaper that fabricated the poll that said that Kakala was up 8, he owns that newspaper now. It basically is run by Trump Internet. He sued them. And the people that cooked the poll went, okay, all right, yeah, we made it up, basically. And they were fined like $25 million. So you better be careful publishing these fake polls to try and influence people. So as I said, I'm not going to use the word interesting. I think it'll be fascinating because Erica does have a lot to do, but she's got good people around her. She still has Charlie's good people there. So she has good people around her. And, and the other thing is, and don't discount this, Erica Kirk has millions of Catholics around the world praying for her. She has priests on every continent saying masses for her and for the repose of Charlie's soul. That is some serious grace that she is no doubt receiving. And that may also explain why so many people are being motivated and moved into action. 30,000 new chapters. 30,000. As I said, Charlie Kirk is now literally Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the Empire has struck back, but the return of the Jedi is coming. Magdalene, I'll give you the final word.
Well, I think what you mentioned, the idea that Democrats are up 10 is really ridiculous. I mean, I just don't see how. I also don't see what leader is leading that. And I'm reading reports while we're on that they were really serious about AOC, that there have been meetings at the DNC, they want her to run. If AOC is their choice, then I think that is a signal that, first of all, they have accepted that these strange Midwesterners named Tim are not going to be president or vice president, but that if she is at the top of the ticket, they are playing the game of, we're going to go so extreme, people think that it's okay. We're going to market ourselves as revolutionaries. The last thing on earth the leftist and Democrat Party need is more marketing of themselves as revolutionaries.
Well, I think that's where they're headed. And when they marry themselves to the idea that Charlie Kirk got what he deserved, more MAGA people are going to get what they deserved. Look, you can, political party aside and all that, you go up, just ask an average person on the street about killing people, and you're probably going to get answers that aren't going to be in line with Democratic Party dogma. And again, I don't expect that the party survives 2025. Where it is right now, if they weren't already beaten down into a pulp from what it has done, and they had an opportunity to do so much good, They could have done so much good and could have turned a corner and pivoted. Instead, they didn't double down. They bet the entire farm that the rest of the world hated Charlie Kirk and MAGA as much as they do. And that's just not true. It just isn't true. So that's where we leave it at. We'll be live next Wednesday, and next Thursday. Magdalene, thank you very much. We will see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, folks, again, the broadcast schedule is thus. As we head to daughter number one's wedding and took the opportunity to, because it's a far distance away, to spend the week there with future son-in-law, his family, daughter number one, and all the other family and friends that are going to be there. So we will be in Utah Monday evening, God willing. Pray for safe travels for us. Pray for Buckshot's first plane ride. Wednesday, we have the equipment to do a live show, and we intend to do one Wednesday morning. We intend to do one Thursday morning. Meanwhile, Monday and Tuesday and Friday, day-centric, historically important, best of Mike Church shows. I don't think somebody was asking, give me the live schedule again. So you can go listen to Ben Shapiro? Dude, please, come on, man. So a great live rebroadcast Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then the following Monday, again, another one that is a history. It is literally a history lesson for Monday. And then, God willing, back the following Tuesday. Donations will still be needed, and you will hear appeals for them. So crusadechannel.com/donate. I think the greatest thing that you can do, again, send testimonials that we can send to your fellow former Crusade members. You know, I've been sending emails out to them, and there has been pretty decent response. And some people have come back, but you know what? I think they can be influenced by you guys saying maybe you have a story that you left for a while and came back. I am KingDude at protonmail.com is the email address, or put it in the chat room and send it to Maggie personally, or however you get it to us. We'll be very thankful for that. If news does break out today, we will break in here on the Crusade channel. Don't forget, we had Thursday Night Throwdown last night, episode 7. There are 7 episodes now of Moms, Murders, and Mysteries. We're on case number 2 now with Lori Vallow Daybell. If you like investigation discovery or just podcast murder mysteries or cold case and stuff like that, Moms, Murders, and Mysteries is for you. So the Karen Reed case was the first one, 5 episodes. Now you have the Lori Vallow Daybell case. And the first 2 episodes of that, check them out. They're all for Founders Pass members at crusadechannel.com. All Thursday Night Throwdown episodes are available at crusadechannel.com as podcasts and on YouTube as videos. And don't forget about, every day you get videos from the Mike Church Show. So now you get, as a Founders Pass member, videos and podcasts. So if you're a basic premium listener, maybe you should upgrade to basic and get access to all that. Have a safe and blessed great weekend. Today's an Ember Day. Tomorrow is an Ember Day. If you're into that sort of thing, just thought I'd drop that in. A blessed feast of St. Januarius and Our Lady of La Salette to all of you. Again, crusadechannel.com/donate. See y'all very soon. God bless and Mary keep you.